Nally.
Very definitely. Nally, Bill Snap, and John Olivia are the strength of the defense, along with their fine young safety, Brent Cotter, the son of the offensive coordinator. We look for them to have great overall team speed, a lot of hitting, and to carry the ball and get the ball for their offense.
Now, Montana State, of course, they are 2-2 on the year. Montana State won their last two games, including a big win over Nevada Reno last week. And a lot of that reason is because they've had the emergence of a quarterback, Mike Godfrey.
Very definitely. Mike Godfrey has come on stronger in each week. He beat out three-year veteran starter Barry Sullivan during fall camp. The team has improved each week. Mike's throwing the ball better. His two favorite receivers will be fullback Cy Timberman and tailback Tony Bodies. Both will play and see a lot of action today. They have to move the ball around with play-action passes and have to try to control the ball against this fine Bengal defense.
Oh, well, you talk about defense, especially when you're talking about linebackers. Montana State has a pair of them. I tell you, Mark Ivner and Jim Califat, they are something else.
Truly something else. Very fearsome, averaging over 32 tackles a ball game between the two of them. And last week's Big Sky Player of the Week was cornerback Bob King, and he came up with 14 tackles, and they upset win over Nevada Reno. So I think we're in for a truly fine hitting ball game with a lot of play-action passes.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of offense, I am sure. Montana State against Idaho State in Bozeman, Montana. Stay tuned as ABC Sports continues its 20th year of NCAA college football. The Bengals of Idaho State against the Bobcats of Montana State. ABC Sports presents our 20th year of coverage of NCAA college football. During those years, we've witnessed some of the game's greatest plays and players. Back in 1976, for instance, Johnny Majors was taking Pittsburgh to the national title with the help from the incomparable number 33, Tony Dorsett, who became college football's all-time leading rusher. Today, we're in Reno H. Sales Stadium in Bozeman, Montana, for a matchup between the Bengals of Idaho State and the Bobcats of Montana State. Idaho State, led by third-year head coach Dave Cragthorpe, is the defending 1AA national champion. Montana State, under first-year coach Doug Graber, has won 2 in a row, and the Bobcats are tough to beat in Bozeman. NCAA college football on ABC. The Idaho State Bengals up against the Montana State Bobcats from Reno H. Sales Stadium in Bozeman, Montana. And what a day it is for college football. The temperature is expected to be right around 50 degrees. Here in Bozeman, I tell you, they had rain and snow all week long, so this day has gone beautiful. Here come the Idaho State Bengals, 2-1 right now this year. They, of course, are the defending 1AA national champions. The Bengals, led by third-year head coach Dave Cragthorpe, who's done a marvelous job. Last year, they were 12-1. Here come the Bobcats. They're 2-2. They've won 2 games in a row. Mike Godfrey, as we have said, had come on strong at quarterback. He's done a job. And they feel this is a very important Big Sky contest for them. They are 1-0. They beat Nevada Reno a week ago by a score of 17-10. Idaho State, this is their first Big Sky Conference game. Hello again, everybody. This is Wayne DeZubak along with Bob Lee, and welcome to Bozeman, Montana for what we expect to be a truly exciting game. We talked a moment ago about the coaches, namely Dave Cragthorpe and Doug Graber. Now, Dave Cragthorpe's in his third year, and what a turnaround he has done.
Probably one of the finest jobs in modern collegiate coaching history. He inherited a ball club in 1979 that was 0-11. Immediately in 1980, they went to a 6-5 record, established credibility, and then, of course, last year came on and went 12-1 and won the national title. They emphasize a ball control, medium-range passing attack, and a very fierce, hard-hitting defense. They play it pretty straight away, don't blitz too much, and they think they have the people to win.
Now, Dave Cragthorpe has done the job of turning the Bengals around. Doug Graber has been hired to do that with the Bobcats, and he is doing a pretty good job. First 4 games, they are 2-2.
Graber's been a winner everywhere he's been. The ball club appears to be very well coached. They've improved each week. They could easily have been 3-1 or even 4-0 had they beat Utah in their opener. I look for them to get even better today. They know they must control the ball today and keep it away from the potent Bengal passing attack.
Idaho State, of course, coming in off a loss. They lost 15-13 last week in Pocatello to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. How about that?
I think Dave Cragthorpe thinks that in some ways that loss might have been beneficial. The streak is broken now. They can think about winning football games, concentrating on their opponents. They desperately need to open the season today, their conference season, with a victory. I think their attention to detail will be a lot more refined than it was a week ago.
Now, I know we were talking to Doug Graber, the head coach of Montana State, yesterday. He says he would have rather had the Bengals come in with a win and be 3-0.
Because he felt they might be a little more lax. Their attention to detail might not be as great. I think now he thinks he might have a tiger by the tail, so to speak, and I look for an outstanding ball game. I think Graber, again, will try to control the ball. He's got a solid defense himself. If he can, the Bobcats have a real chance.
So it's Idaho State up against Montana State today from Bozeman, Montana. We'll be back with the opening kickoff right after this.
NCAA college football. Idaho State versus Montana State. Brought to you by Goodyear. For more Goodyears in your car. By Lowenbrau. When you want the taste of a truly great beer, there's really only one. Tonight, let it be Lowenbrau. And by Chevrolet, who invite you to take charge of a new Chevrolet car or truck at your Chevrolet dealers now.
We are back in Bozeman, Montana, getting ready for the opening kickoff between Idaho State and the Bobcats of Montana State. And though it's still early in the season as far as conference races are concerned, this, Bob, really is a key conference race for these two teams because Montana State's already won a game. They beat Nevada Reno, who in the preseason was picked to finish third in the conference. Montana State, by the way, we might add, was picked to finish last.
And that same Nevada Reno team was the team that won the national title 2 years ago, 1980, under Chris Ault. It was a very big win for the program at Montana State. It gives them immediate credibility. I think now the kids will start to believe in Graber and his staff and what they're trying to do. A win today would make them ecstatic. They'd be right on the way. The Bengals feel they have to win today to stay in the race for the divisional 1-2A playoffs. The playoffs have been expanded to 12 teams this year. 2 teams from the conference went last year. Of course, the Bengals won it, and Boise State almost made it to the finals with them.
You're looking at Michael Thompson, number 16. He's been averaging about 18 yards of return on kickoffs. He's a dangerous kickoff return man. He is waiting back there deep in the middle of the field to receive the kickoff of Mark Carter, number 1, as we get ready for this Big Sky Conference showdown in Bozeman, Montana. Really on a beautiful day. Earlier this week, we did not think we were going to have this kind of a day for this ball game. Idaho State has Ron Gilder with it. Gilder out across the 25, out to near the 30-yard line, so the Bengals will have pretty good field position when they have the football. 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. There's the Bengal mascot for you. Idaho State, of course, with Paul Peterson at the quarterback position. Peterson taking over, has some big shoes to fill as far as Mike Machurik was concerned. He was an All-American. And the ironic thing about that is that Peterson and Machurik both went to the same high school in San Diego. They also went to the same junior college. And every time Machurik left, Peterson came along to break the records. Machurik wastes no time in going here, and he's going to be home.
That's the one thing that the Bobcats felt they had to do was get a big pass rush on Peterson right away. Cal Poly did it last week, sacked him 9 times, and came from behind to upset the Bengals.
And again, Bob Cardos, Phil Bruner, both in there. Those are the 2 big defensive linemen for Montana State.
Defensive coordinator Dave Anderson felt he had to get big games out of both those gentlemen, and they're starting out definitely on the right track.
One of the things about the Idaho State offense, they felt that their offensive line probably was one of their strong points, and then after the 9 sacks last week of Peterson, everybody started wondering about it. Again, Peterson now on a 2nd down and 17. Over the middle, his man fell down, and I believe it's going to be incomplete, or did they call it an interception? No, incomplete. He trapped it. Here's the offensive lineman now for Idaho State. Paul Peterson at quarterback. Mike Holliday will be number 15. He'll be the tailback. Cliff Baxter's the fullback out of Eugene, Oregon. He's a senior. Wide receiver Dave Vandergriff, Soda Springs, Idaho. And there you see Michael Thompson, the man we were talking about. He's also a wide receiver, and he also brings those kicks back. Good look at the bench there of Idaho State. The Bengals 2-1 on the year. There's Dave Kragthorpe as the Bengals face with a 3rd down, 17 from their own 23-yard line. Peterson again over the middle, has O'Deal as tight end open. He's got a 1st down out at the 50.
The Bobcats made a defensive adjustment there, and went to their banded defense with Jim Anderson and Joe Roberts in the backfield at the same time.
And here we see the offensive line for Idaho State. Howard Zarland there, San Diego, California. Jim Lane, the big center. He's from Memphis, Tennessee. Ken Bacon, what an outstanding game he had a week ago against Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And Kent Marbo from Idaho Falls, he's a junior, along with Ken O'Neill, a tight end who just made that catch. Peterson, first down. Again, O'Neill. O'Neill down to about the 42-yard line. Gain of about 8 yards. Idaho State, a team that likes to set up the run by passing the football.
They expect to throw the ball 60% of the time today.
Defensively, Cardos, Bruno, a couple of the big names there in that line. They were the two guys that sacked Peterson a while ago. King, Morton, Dilly Anderson. King, by the way, player of the week in the Big Sky Conference last week. Tough secondary. Hand off to Holiday. Holiday gets inside the 40 down to the 37-yard line. And that'll be a first down for Idaho State.
The Bengals have showed that toss to the near side in every one of their ball games, but not too much success. But they throw so much from that formation, they just want to run the ball occasionally for a changeup.
Just underway in Bozeman, Montana. 13:06 to go here in the first quarter. No score yet. This is the first time that the Bengals have had the football. Peterson again drops back. Dumps it. Oh, at least he tried to get it O'Neill, and I believe that was Bruno who knocked it down. Phil Bruno, 6'5½", 255-pound senior.
Here's a nice shot. O'Neill is going to fake a block and then delay coming out of the line, almost a tight end screen. Bruno reads it, knocks the ball down. Excellent play.
Just a tight end delay. O'Neill just counts 3 and then goes, but Bruno at 6'5½" just put his paws up there and made a super defensive play. Second down 10 for the Bengals at the Montana State 36-yard line.
And a safety blitz. Nice play by Peterson. This is what he does so well, moving out of the pocket.
Peterson's going to run out of bounds after a pickup of about 5.
Very heady play by Paul. Got out of bounds, didn't take the big hit, stays healthy.
Well, you mentioned it, that Paul Peterson really does that well. That's something that I know that Montana State did not want to have him get into, because he does that very, very well.
Defensive coordinator Dave Anderson was quite worried about that.
Here's Paul Peterson.
Shot at it.
Watch. He received it.
See Joe Roberts, safety blitz, misses the tackle because of a nice play by Peterson, and the gain of 5 yards. That was a 3rd and 7 situation.
Bengals came up with a big third down play a moment ago. Over the middle. And it's complete. John Dean has it inside the 25-yard line. That'll be a first down. He's at the 24.
Nice catch in traffic by Dean. Excellent throw by Peterson. The Bobcats are trying to give Peterson as many different looks on this first series as possible to confuse him on his reads. He's done a fine job so far, though, of finding the open receiver.
One thing about Peterson, he will use everybody in the book as far as his receivers go. He has a lot of good ones. Vandergriff and Thompson wide to the left. They hand it off to Holiday. He does good to get a couple of yards out of that play. Montana State doing a good job on the left side.
The Bengals have an offensive tendency to run back into the sideline when they move inside the defense's 30-yard line, and I'm sure the Bobcats were just playing that tendency on first down that time. And yet it was still a 4-yard gain.
Jim Califat, who has been averaging 18 tackles a game, made the stop. Paul Peterson, 3 for 5, 45 yards, as you see so far. The big one, a third down 17 connection to Ken O'Neill. Again, rolls left. He's got Baxter, the fullback, inside the 10, and he bowls his way down to about the 7-yard line, out of bounds.
Excellent play action, but we do have a flag on the play.
We'll check the flag. Let's look at it again.
There's a ground level replay, bootleg action. The backs going to the near side. Good throw.
Baxter's going to duck that head and just take the hit and go out of bounds at the 7. But we're still waiting to see what the flag is.
But Bobby King didn't give up any ground on that hit. Yes, backfield in motion against the Bengals.
So they nullify that one. It'll bring it back, and it's going to be second down and about 10 again.
And it's interesting to note that Arnie Bagley has gone back into the lineup at right tackle already here on the first series. Bagley, of course, is the Big Sky two-time defending heavyweight wrestling champion, and evidently didn't play as well as he could have last week and didn't start the first several plays today.
Second down, make it 10.5. No score here in Bozeman, Montana. Idaho State, this is their first drive of the ball game. Peterson faced with a second down, 10.5.
And it's a safety blitz again by Roberts.
Little screen, they try to get it to Holiday. And a nice play by Mark Eibner. That's going to be a loss of 5 more yards.
I would think, especially after the first 2 catches, that O'Neill's going to be a marked man. They're not going to be able to screen the ball to him. Very obviously, the 2 screens they have tried to throw were knocked down in the defensive line and tackled for a loss.
Blake Stamper brings in the play to Paul Peterson from the bench.
Bill Cutter calls all the plays and alternates his wide receivers. Peterson does have the ability to check off at the line of scrimmage.
They send John Dean and Stamper wide to the left. Third down, make it 16 yards to go from the 30-yard line. Good protection for Peterson. The ball is blocked up. Phil Bruno, I think, again.
Yes, again Bruno.
So the Montana State crowd loves it. Idaho State now forced into trying a field goal. Terry Larson will come on. He's going to mark it out at about the 36, 37-yard line. So 46, 47-yard attempt. Their kicking game last week, Bob, was questionable. They missed 2 field goals, which could have won the game for him.
But I admire Cragthorpe. He said, Harry's been hitting the ball well. We've got to stick with him.
Terry Larson from 47 yards away. It's going to be off to the right.
Short and wide to the right.
So the Montana State Bobcats hold. 10 minutes, 52 seconds to go here in the first period, and we've got no score between Montana State and Idaho State.
On and off. I mean, I hear him talk when he's been talking.
Montana State, Idaho State, no score. First quarter, 10 minutes, 52 seconds left to go. We understand that because of some technical problems, some stations supposed to carry this game are not getting it. They're working on that problem and hope to have it fixed momentarily. Montana State with the football. They've got it at their own 31-yard line. And it's the first time we've been able to see Montana State on offense. Godfrey, he pitches it out. That's Junior Fulp.
Nice, excellent tackle. John Olivia with an excellent play on the sideline.
Junior Fulp starting in place of Tony Bodie at I-back. Here we see Montana State. Mike Godfrey, we talked about the junior quarterback. Junior Fulp starting there at Great Falls, Montana. Tony Bodie, we'll see a lot of him. He's had a hip pointer, but he'll be in today. Cy Timberman, he's the fullback, a senior out at Butte. Pat McLeod, wide receiver from Cheyenne. And Brian Compton, he's a junior out of Billings, Montana.
Watch for the Bobcats to shift the various formations, try to confuse the Bengal defense as much as possible.
Gain of 3, second down, 7. Here we see a little bit of a slip. The turf is in pretty good shape, but they've had a lot of moisture, and there's still a little bit of moisture there. Here's John Nord, the offensive line now for Montana State. John Blackman from Bellevue, Washington, offensive guard. Larry Shea, he's a junior out of Butte, another good one. They've got a good line. Cornelia, Wenatchee, Washington. Dwayne Baker, he's the tight end from Shelton, Washington. Just a freshman on Baker. He's starting in place of Joe Bignell, who has been injured, and they tell us that the loss of Bignell could be a big difference in this game. Third down, 7. Godfrey, first pass he's tried, fumbles the football, and I believe he may have gotten it back.
Nice play by Mike to turn around and locate the ball and get it. Could have been disastrous.
So, Idaho State on defense holds Montana State 3 plays. They're faced with a 4th down and 20. They're back at their own 20-yard line. And Dirk Nelson will come in, and he'll be punting. He's averaging about 42 yards a kick.
A little over 42.4. Seemed to be punting the ball extremely well in pregame.
Brent Cutter is back deep for Idaho State. Cutter gets a good one. Cutter lets it roll, then he takes it, and I'll see what he can do. There's nothing but blue shirts there. Timeout. 8 minutes and 42 seconds left to go in the first quarter, and we still have no score. There you're looking at Dave Frankthorpe, head coach of Idaho State, yelling out a little bit of encouragement to his offensive squad. They moved the football the first time they had it, but Montana State got tough when they had to. Peterson looking for a man, and it's almost picked off. It was picked off. That's Jim Anderson, who last year was all conference. He had 8 interceptions a year ago. In fact, he had 3 interceptions against Idaho State in their game last year.
Doug Graber felt that Jim Anderson would be a key today. He, too, has been laid up with a hip pointer. They had to get him in the ballgame early. He really didn't practice all week. Excellent play.
Peterson was trying to go to O'Neal.
One more time, and I think O'Neal is a marked man right now after those first 2 completions. Great play by Anderson.
So, Montana State has the ball at the Idaho State 39-yard line. Godfrey looking to pass right off the bat. He throws it to Tony Bodie, and it's incomplete. Very close to being a lateral, but they called it incomplete.
And you notice that Bodie is in the game now in the second series. We expect to see him go as long as he can with the hip pointer. He appeared to be running well in the pregame.
Doug Graber has a policy. If you miss 2 practices during the week for whatever reason there is, whether it be injury or for whatever, you automatically don't start that game that week. However, Tony Bodie is so valuable, it didn't take long for him to get back into the contest.
So Tony is the 4th leading receiver in the conference, and Cy Timmerman, his backfield mate, is the 7th leading receiver.
So Mike Godfrey, the 6'2 junior out of Eugene, Oregon, hands it off to Bodie. He finds his crack, but he coughs it up. Cutter has it, and Cutter's racing down the sideline, knocked out of bounds by Godfrey.
But in college football, the ball can't be advanced on a fumble unless it's caught in midair, so the ball will be dead at the Bengal 31-yard line.
But it sure makes it exciting.
Oh, excellent.
Brent Cutter, who has been playing a super season.
Brent currently leads the conference in interceptions with 4 and is 5th in the nation already as a sophomore.
So a couple of turnovers in the early going as these 2 teams test each other offensively. But one thing's for sure, if they can hold on to the football, I think we can see a lot of offense today. Here you see Peterson so far this year. 3 touchdowns, but he's also now been intercepted 5 times for that interception by Anderson. Just flips it out there to Baxter, the fullback.
And another real nice play by Joey Roberts. He's the banded back. They went to their prevent defense right away on first down. And here's the replay. This play is designed just to swing the ball out to Baxter, which they did. Roberts played his position perfectly, came up and makes the play. Got a gain of 2 yards.
2nd down 8. Idaho State the ball at the 34-yard line. Blake Stamper wide to the right. Good shot of Peterson. Again, straight drop back. Trying to go to Holiday.
And a blitz that time by Mark Eibner. Excellent job. The Bobcats are really mixing up the defense now. They've stayed with 5 defensive backs. They've run a couple of blitzes. They've played standard coverages. They've double covered him. It seems to be taking its effect a little bit on Peterson now.
One thing that Montana State saw in last week's game that Idaho State played against Cal Poly San Luis Obispo was that when Cal Poly really put a lot of pressure on the Bengals, Paul Peterson had to dump it off early, and Cal Poly was able to control the contest.
The Bengals never scored again after that.
3rd down 8. Peterson takes a hit, tries to get it out to Baxter, and it's incomplete. But David Thompson, 6'3", 228-pound junior, was right in there on Peterson.
The Bengals have a philosophy of releasing their backs out of the backfield as quickly as possible and not staying around to help out. And I think if this trend continues on defense for the Bobcats, Bengals are going to have to keep 1 or 2 of their backs in. Give Peterson the time to operate.
Perry Larson. He'll be back now to punt. Brian Compton, you're looking at him.
Perry's averaging 44 yards a kick on the year. Was really booming the ball in pregame.
And again, the Bengals kind of flip-flop their kickers. Snap was a little bit to the left, but Larson did a good job. Compton, fair catch call for. He has it at the 34-yard line. So that's where they're going to start. Montana State on offense. 7 minutes, 30 seconds to go here in the first quarter. It's still Idaho State nothing, and the Bobcats of Montana State nothing. There you see the situation, 7:30 to go, first quarter, still no score. Big Sky Conference football between Idaho State and Montana State. Idaho State just having to punt the football away, so the Bobcats will start at their own 33-yard line. First down and 10. Mike Gottfried came in this year, won the quarterback position from Barry Sullivan, and has been doing a super job. The pass is complete to Compton. Brian Compton coming back, made the reception. It was a low throw, and a nice catch by Compton.
I think that'll have very positive results. It's always good for a young quarterback early in a ball game to get some completions. He gains confidence. Here we show Gottfried stepping up, throwing the ball. Excellent protection. Real nice catch, as Wayne said, by Compton.
Nothing Willie Allen on defense could do about that one. It was good coverage by Allen, but when you execute perfectly on offense, the ball now into Idaho State territory.
The draw
up the middle. That's Tony Bodie. That's Timberman, rather. And Timberman maybe fights for a yard.
And offensive left guard John Blackman appears to be injured on the play. Looks like he's going to stay in the lineup, but he did twist an ankle. In talking about Godfrey and Sullivan, the Bobcat coaching staff couldn't say enough good things about Barry Sullivan, how after being a 3-year starter and close to a record holder in many departments, he's accepted the adjustment, and we expect to see him today as a wide receiver. Very intelligent young man.
Montana State right now has sent 3 people on wide to the right side of the field. Gottfried looking that way, and he's got no time to throw whatsoever. Jim Nielsen, 6'2", 255-pound sophomore, got in there and brought him down.
This time it wasn't so much a case of a great pass rush as it was great coverage. They covered the trips formation to the right side. You see Gottfried trying to find somebody, doesn't. Nielsen gets in and makes the play.
So third down, 14 now for the Bobcats.
I don't think the Bobcats want to take too many big chances here. Try something solid. If they don't get a first down, they kick the ball deep into bingo territory.
Straight drop back by Gottfried. He looked over the middle, and it's knocked down.
Real nice play by Bill Snap on the throw pattern.
Snap was right there. He was looking for Tom White.
Tommy White's an interesting story. He's a 5'9.5", 148-pound freshman. Godfrey makes a nice drop. Good pass rush. And a great play by Snap. I think that ball would have been completed if he hadn't deflected it.
Snap, by the way, has 29 tackles this year. He's out of Blackfoot, Idaho.
And again, the Bobcats didn't take any real chances. They didn't get the curl. They'll kick it down.
Dirk Nelson gets a foot into it, and he gets it, all of it. This time, fair catch call for by Cutter. Cutter takes it at the 9-yard line. So the Bengals will start deep in their own territory at their own 9-yard line with 5:34 to go, first quarter. We still have no score here in Bozeman, Montana. Wade Zubak along with Bob Lee. We are back here in Bozeman, Montana. The Bengals starting from deep in their own territory at the 9-yard line. Baxter, the fullback, gets out across the 10 to the 11-yard line, but a bunch of Bobcats pushing back after that.
And probably a pretty good decision on the part of the Bobcat staff. As we mentioned, Peterson came out and was 3 for his first 5 for 35 yards. Now he's 1 for his last 6 with an interception and only 7 yards gained. Got to credit the Bobcat defense with an excellent job of changing up their coverages.
First quarter, no score, West Virginia or Pittsburgh.
Both undefeated.
West Virginia earlier this year, big upset at the Oklahoma Sooners. Second down and 8 at the 11-yard line for Idaho State. Peterson throws it out. It's complete to Holiday, and Holiday's out to the 30-yard line before he's wrestled out of bounds.
Paul Dilley came up to make the hit, but Holiday just kept right on going, and the safety blitz was on again, but an excellent job of...
Here's Jim Califat. We talked about him. He's averaging 18 tackles a game. He's number 32. Watch him get over there.
Califat has excellent speed. He's a former fullback himself. Played all spring with a broken arm. That's when they knew he was a player.
Missed the tackle right off the bat, got down, but stayed with the game. Here's Holiday. He's on the sidelines. He is hurt. Gilmer.
Excellent run by Chris Caudry. He's the leading receiver for the Bengals. He alternates at tailback with Holiday. Holiday is stunned from that last run.
Well, we've got a flag down. There's Holiday. They're working on him. That's Bengal trainer Phil Lucky.
Looks like it could be his shoulder or the way he's moving his hand back and forth. You got a holding call against the Bengals.
Holding against Idaho State, so they'll move it back. I'll mark off 15 yards against Idaho State. 10 yards, rather, back to the 20-yard line. So it's going to be a first down and 20 yards to go.
And the rule change this year in college football is offensive holding is a 10-yard penalty instead of 15 yards. Probably a more realistic rule.
Really. So, as we look at Dave Craigthorpe on the sideline watching his offense, Peterson in motion. Second down.
Got time.
Over the middle. It's complete to Ron Rapola.
Excellent catch by Rapola. The Bobcats again were in a nickel defense with 5 defensive backs across. Let's watch the play action here by Peterson. Paul does an excellent job for waiting until Rapola crosses the field, gets between the zones, which is what the Bobcats were in. Big catch, big gain, gets him out of trouble.
And gets him a first down at the 44-yard line. That's Baxter. Baxter bulls his way into Montana State territory out down to the 47-yard line.
Excellent run support by Jimmy Anderson, though, coming up from...
This program is being brought to you as an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Let's pause now, 5 seconds, to allow our local stations to identify themselves. The Bengals with a second down and short now. They can pull out just about any play they want to out of their elaborate play scheme.
And again, it's their weak side toss into the sideline.
Baxter getting down to the 45-yard line, and that should be good for the first down. Califat again. Officials, they're going to take time for a measurement because he marked it just shy of the 45-yard line. Idaho State again, 2-1 coming into this contest. Won their first 2 games. They were down 21-10 at Drake to open the season. They came back, scored 31 unanswered points to win the game 41-21. They beat Portland State with no problem. And then they came back and they had a tough time against Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. As you see, it's a first down for Idaho State. The Bengals took the lead in that one 13-3 and lost it 15-13. Today on ABC Sports, it's the United States against Poland, amateur boxing, and then later today, heavyweight fight between Trevor Burbick and Ronaldo Snipes, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central.
Of course, Snipes, the only man to knock Larry Holmes down.
And also later today, we've got Women's Masters Surfing Championships from Hawaii, and that's at 5 o'clock Eastern and 4 Central. All today on ABC. Peterson working on a first down 10. Dumps it off to O'Neal, the tight end. He takes a hit by Califat.
Now, again, that was the tight end delay to O'Neal that didn't work earlier, and in fact lost yards on the first series. Now O'Neal wants to come out. He took a big hit.
We watched this hit by Jim Califat.
Jody Griswold will replace him. Here's the tight end delay. Peterson waits the 3 counts, as does O'Neal. Great hit by Califat.
So the Bengals pick up only 4, second down and 6 as O'Neal sits on the sideline. Peterson, you see him drop that left foot back a little bit. That's how they teach it at Idaho State. Good rush by the Bobcats. Pass over the middle. Peterson had to rush it. It was intended for Griswold.
That's the 4th time already the Bobcats have used the safety blitz, and it's been very successful all but one time. It seemed to fluster Peterson just a little bit.
We were talking about that left leg being back about 6 inches. So basically, they teach that at Idaho State. They say it helps you not make a false step, get back just all that much quicker.
Yeah, a lot of young quarterbacks in particular tend to take their left foot and plant it back towards the center as they're receiving the snap, and it just delays them getting away from the center. So Bill Cutter feels if you can drop the left leg back, you minimize the chances of having a false step.
3rd down 7 for Idaho State.
Good protection.
Peterson going long for Thompson, and it's overthrown.
Incomplete.
Good coverage by the Bobcats that time, and Peterson did the right thing in throwing the ball out of bounds. There you see a good shot of Michael Thompson.
Ran the corner route. One of the few times the Bengals did try to throw the ball deep. I think it's going to be important for the Bengals to get the ball to their wide people. They're not going to be able to make a living throwing the ball to the backs and to the tight end today.
So Perry Larson comes in. He'll be kicking it away. Brian Compton, he is standing back down at his own 10-yard line. Larson, I'm sure, will try to angle this one out of bounds if at all possible. He heads for the sidelines with it. And Compton calls for a fair catch out at the 12-yard line. So Montana State, the Bobcats, will start off at their own 12-yard line. Baseball playoffs, the American League. Live, it starts October 5th, 8 o'clock Eastern. The National League starts on October 6th at 8 o'clock. And I tell you, these things, as we go down to the wire on these baseball, who knows who's going to be where?
The Orioles taking that doubleheader last night from the Brewers has really thrown the Eastern race into a disarray. And, of course, the Angels have to win today to keep their lead over the Royals. The Royals are closing very strong.
Here we go. 1st and 10.
And the tight end is right behind Godfrey. Now he shifts.
They'll flop a little bit like that, try to keep Idaho State honest anyway. They go with the trap up the middle. And Bodie just kind of spins off of one man, but there's somebody else there to get him. That's Snap, who finally puts the stop on him. Bill Snap, 5'10", senior, 197 pounds.
And defensive coordinator Denny Miller felt that Snap is a real leader on the defense, and it looks for big things from him. He felt that he has the intensity to be a great player for the Bengals. Had an outstanding year last year.
Mike Godfrey came in here, won the job from Barry Sullivan. Has done a good job for Doug Raber and his crew. Bodie switches into the I formation. Side Timberman, the fullback. They fake it to Bodie. Godfrey's got plenty of time. Throws over the middle. There's nobody there but Courtney. And Courtney can't intercept it. Courtney started to slip and trying to come back for the football. West Virginia, 3-0 lead over Pittsburgh, Bob. First quarter, that's early.
I don't think that's a big shock, though.
Third-ranked Penn State idle this week after their big win over Nebraska a week ago. Baylor 14, Houston 0. First quarter score.
They were building a solid program in Waco.
North Carolina 7-0 over Georgia Tech.
And that's to be expected with a fine team at Carolina.
Godfrey again back on a 3rd down and 8. Again, pressure, gets it out to Timberman, and he can't find the handle. Cy Timberman just sits there and says, I had it in my hands. What happened? So to bring up 4th down and 8.
Excellent play by Godfrey to get the ball off to Timberman in a crucial situation.
Dirk Nelson comes in. He'll be doing the punting. He'll be standing down at about his own goal line. Brent Cutter back along with Matt Courtney for the Bengals to receive. Shot of Nelson standing on his goal line. Idaho State with a return on, so not much of a rush. Cutter lets it rush, and it takes a Montana State bounce. Cutter gathers it in at the 30, and he gets back to the 32, and that's it.
And great coverage by the Bobcats. You can tell they're fired up. They're gaining confidence as they're playing with the Bengals. They haven't been scored upon yet. The longer that goes on, the more confidence a young ball club like Montana State will have.
1 minute, 37 seconds left to go in this first period, and we still have no score between Idaho State and Montana State on really a gorgeous day for football in the Intermountain West.
Bengal defense doing an excellent job on Godfrey. He's 1 for 5 with just 18 yards throwing. Montana State has yet to convert on their 3 third-down attempts.
So Idaho State at the 33, first down. Over the middle to O'Neal. O'Neal is stopped by Paul Dilley, 6'1" senior.
Excellent hit again by Dilley. Second one we've seen him make. Again, the tight end delay to O'Neal. Gain of 7 yards, nearly 8 yards on the play. They just ran it to the other side this time. A little bit different look.
Bob, do you get the feeling that maybe Idaho State feels they can make that play break sooner or later?
It sure looks like it. 3 times now, really only 1 time with success.
Peterson, you see the stats on him. The 1 interception gives him 5 on the year. Pitches it to Baxter. And again, Baxter is stacked up. Bob Cardos, number 78, the 6'3" senior, is in there to make the stop.
It looks like he's still short of the first down, although they might want to call for a measurement here. Again, the toss into the sideline, which hasn't really been successful for the Bengals this year or in any of the films we saw. Thompson
mascot
coming in with the play. Excuse me, Wayne.
We're just looking at the old Bengal mascot. Idaho State, 3rd and about half a yard.
Holliday's back in the game, so he was momentarily stunned and is back in at tailback.
Up the middle. It's going to be close again, but I believe they got it.
I like the way the Bobcat defensive line, they're playing with these guys. They're doing an excellent job. Got the first down, but not by much.
Ibner and Califat both came in there, but the Bengals, it's not pretty, but it works. There's a look at Ibner. Mark Ibner, 6'1 1/2", 228-pound senior.
Time is running. They are late getting that play in.
That may have been the last play of the first quarter here in Bozeman, Montana. Idaho State.
I don't think they'll get the play off.
They won't get it off. We have indeed come to the end of the first quarter here in Bozeman, Montana. And after the first 15 minutes of play, our score, Idaho State 0, and the Montana State Bobcats also unable to score so far. Well, we thought this would be a close football game, and after 15 minutes of play, no score. Idaho State, Montana State. Wayne DeZuback with Bob Lee. Welcome to Bozeman, Montana. Beautiful day for college football to the Intermountain West. Paul Peterson, number 12, the quarterback in the blitz. And that's Mark Ibner who gets to Peterson.
Ibner's come twice with successful blitzes from the linebacker spot. The Bengals are definitely going to have to make some adjustments and look for the people. The Bobcats have not been blitzers in the past, and it's obvious that part of Coach Dave Anderson's defensive adjustment plan is to blitz.
Well, we've got some discussion among the officials.
There's a flag down at the 50-yard line.
Officials discussing it. They'll get it figured out for the moment here. Again, backfield in motion against the Bengals. Second time they've been called for that one.
Well, that one, I think, was almost illegal procedure from the standpoint the man that shifted really wasn't set for a full second. It's interesting it was called from the other side of the field, though.
You would have to assume that they would decline the penalty and take the play as Mark Ibner just blew in there.
And again, all these hits do take a toll on the quarterback.
Here we look. ISU first down, 6-1. ISU looked like they're basically dominating offensively, but we've got no score, and that's what counts in the long run.
That's the most important statistic.
Both teams with one turnover. Second down and 19. They pass over the middle to Baxter, and he has it for a first down at the 41-yard line.
And again, actually a pretty good rush on Peterson, but a nice job of stepping up in the pocket. Here comes ball to play action with a bootleg or waggle action into the sideline. The first back out was Baxter. He was in a wingback position, ran an up route. Bobcats didn't adjust soon enough.
And I'm impressed with the way Baxter can get downfield that far, that quickly.
Right. They really haven't thrown him the ball that much going into this ball game. I think that's one of the adjustments they're making.
They mark it at the 42. First and 10 for the Bengals. Peterson now starting to get a little bit more mobile. Throws it off the Holiday, incomplete, and Peterson was getting a huge rush from Bob Gardos at 6'3", 240-pound senior.
And again, the Bobcats went back to their banded defense, which is what they call their 5 defensive backs, and they bring Joey Roberts into the ball game. It seems like every time they've done that, they've had great success. As a result, now we are 2nd and 10. They're leaving Roberts in the ball game. Look for them to change their coverage up one more time on Peterson. This is a good education for Peterson. He's getting to see a lot of different coverages in a very short period of time.
That tells the story so far on Peterson. Second down, 10. They hand it off to Holiday. There's a big hole. King comes up from his cornerback spot to make the stop, but not before they get very close to a first down.
And just really an old-fashioned crossbuck play. Very successful.
Holiday, there's nobody there. He's got a huge hole on the outside. King comes up. King last week was the Big Sky Conference Defensive Player of the Week.
14 tackles, which you don't like to see your cornerback make if you can help it, but when it's in a winning effort, it doesn't really matter.
Montana State 1-0 in Big Sky play already. Idaho State, this is their first encounter with the Big Sky team.
Real good call. That probably was an audible.
Baxter down the 21-yard line.
The Bobcats went and doubled the split end to the wide side of the field. There was no force action whatsoever off the weak side tackle. Therefore, Baxter has plenty of running room. Got a nice block from the tailback Holiday. Picks up 10 yards and a first down.
So the Bengals another good-looking drive for Idaho State. They dominated the first quarter statistics. They continue to dominate here in the second quarter, but still the big story with 13-12 to go in the first half is that we have no score. First down 10. Quick drop back by Peterson. He's got a man all alone. Touchdown, John Rapala.
Rapala's really a young man we haven't seen too much of, Wayne, in the films that we did look at. It's obvious that he needed to get more playing time. It was just simply a deep crossing routes by Thompson and Rapala.
Rapala, he is a wide receiver, 5'10 and a half, 175-pound junior out of San Diego, California.
Real nice job by Peterson of waiting for Rapala to come across the field.
And he beat Bob King. Here's the extra point attempt. And it's good. So our first score of the game, Idaho State. 13 minutes and 2 seconds left to go in the first half, and the Bengals have hit pay dirt. It's Idaho State 7 and the Bobcats of Montana State nothing.
Real nice shot of Doug Graber on the sidelines. I'm sure he's starting to get a little nervous anticipation now. His offense has to get moving. His defense has played real well, but they have been on the field a little bit too long now, as we talked about at the end of the first quarter, and possibly that's taken its toll now a little bit. Shouldn't this early in the game, but the offense for Montana State really has to start moving the ball. They're 0 for 3 on third down conversions. Godfrey's been sacked twice for 16 yards and losses, and he's 1 for 5 throwing the ball unofficially right now.
Well, we certainly got an enthusiastic crowd here in the morning in Bozeman, Montana. Looking at Jeff Kaiser. He does the kickoffs for Idaho State. Larson's been doing most of the other kicking, the punting, and the extra point attempts. But Kaiser does all the kickoffs. Well, the ball falls off the tee. Kaiser says, wait a minute. That's not supposed to happen. We'll try it again. Technical difficulties on the field. 13:02 to go here in the first half. And our score, of course, Idaho State 7, Montana State nothing. And Montana State, it's been a good year for them. They're 2-2, but they could have just as easily been 3-1. They played Utah tough to start the season off, and it was 16-12 with 3 minutes to go in that ball game. Utah and
the Bobcats driving on the 11-yard line.
Exactly.
Didn't get it in the end zone. Subsequently fumbled twice. It led to 2 immediate Utah scores, and they lost 30-12 in a ball game they could have easily have won. North Dakota 2 weeks ago, they had the game won and lost right at the end.
So Kaiser gets a foot into it. Comes down to Junior Fulp at the goal line. Fulp finds a crack. Look out. Joey Lawrence finally brought him down, but Junior Fulp got it all the way out to the 39-yard line, a return of 39 yards. He's been averaging nearly 19 yards a return, so he's dangerous anytime he touches the football. Bobcats start off 1st and 10 from their 39.
They've really got to get something going here now with Bodie's in the backfield and Tillman. They've got to get them the ball.
They pitch it out to Bodie. He's got some people ahead of him, and he just runs in there. Bill Snap.
Bill Snap. Once more. We seem to be calling his number more and more.
He's all over the field, isn't he?
It's just what Denny Moeller wanted.
Pick up of about 5 yards. Beautiful day for football in Bozeman, Montana.
Tight end Joe Bignell's in the ball game. We've got an official's timeout. I think he lost his mouthpiece or a contact lens, one or the other, and could be a little bit of a delay here.
Bignell, we were really not supposed to see him much today. I am sure that Doug Graber feels he's got to get his best people in there, even if they're going to have to play a little bit hurt.
Yeah, they really like the way Bignell has developed. He's a sophomore, 6'4", 230 pounds. They think he's going to get better and better, and the people... Yeah, it is okay, we received word from the sideline. It is a contact lens. Hopefully Bignell can find it, or they've got a spare set someplace.
Well, a moment ago we saw the numbers on Godfrey, 1 for 5. We were talking about that. He's also been sacked twice, so the defense of Idaho State getting the job done. Godfrey now trying to get something going. Second down, and let's call it 5.5 for the Bobcats. Compton goes wide to the right.
Along with White in the slot formation.
Bignell still in there. So whether he found his contact or not, he's going to be playing. Godfrey. Good run.
Nice job.
Underneath.
Oh,
Nally made the stop, but a good move by Godfrey to get out close to the first down, and I believe he's got it.
And a real smart play by Godfrey here. Steps out of trouble.
They were just closing in
right on through.
He ducked his head, and he saw a lot of green grass and said, go for it. Look at the hit that Nally makes. Really,
but Mike, you got to learn, you can't run over those linebackers. Get out on the ground.
Well, Nally not afraid to put his head right into the shoulder pads. They're going to take a measurement because it was awful close to the first down. First down, and we just received word from the sideline of what happened. Bicknell plays with a hearing aid, and he lost that.
So hopefully they have a spare, or they can find that one. That'd be a definite handicap during the ball game with the crowd noise the way it is right now.
White goes out. McLeod comes in. Bicknell still in there, hearing aid or not, at tight end. That was the first down. The ball at the 49-yard line of the Bobcats. Bodie moves back into the I formation. They pitch it to Bodie. He's got some people in front of him. And Bodie's caught from behind.
John Olivia. Very nice play.
Olivia, he's out of Los Angeles. He's the 6-foot, 210-pound senior. And Bodie that time looked like he could make something happen. But the Bengals strung the play out. And Olivia was able to get him from behind. Again, second quarter now. West Virginia 3-0 over the Panthers.
And Pittsburgh still struggling with that offense there. They really haven't got it unleashed this year.
North Carolina 14-0.
As expected over Georgia Tech.
Godfrey, second down. Let's call it 9. Ball right at midfield. Pressure. He's breaking down.
Carl Qualls coming in from weak side linebacker.
Carl Qualls gets in there, 6-foot, 220-pound junior from Berkeley.
Godfrey looks a little confused on this, and I think that's just plain good coverage, which allows the pass rush time to get there. Qualls came in from the weak side linebacker spot. They like to do that when possible. Bring him, and I think they thought they needed a little extra pass rush there. Third and very long. 3rd and 21 to be exact at the 39-yard line. A good play by Carl Qualls. As we mentioned, the defense of Idaho State has been their strong suit. Their secondary, everybody returned from last year's national championship team. Godfrey gets it off. There's nobody there. Godfrey was getting a tremendous rush, and he just had to throw it away. Jim Nielsen gave him a tremendous rush, but we've got a yellow flag down. So tried to throw the ball to Tony Bodie on an out and out.
Baylor 14 and Houston nothing. Second quarter score.
Kentucky 7-0 over Clemson in the first quarter.
Tigers having a tough time. Notre Dame 2-0 over Michigan State.
Pitching a shutout right
Third
now.
inning. We could go out forever. Holding against the Bobcats decline. That'll bring up a punting down.
I know the Bengals wanted the ball there, but it might not have been a bad... Montana State has not converted on any third downs yet. It moved them farther into their own territory. It would have made it 3rd and 31. And I think I'd have taken a chance there.
So Dirk Nelson is called on to punt again. There you see the two deep men for Idaho State, Cutter and Courtney, 13 and 27 respectively. Nelson takes a long time calling that punt snap.
Excellent punt.
Good punt. Good hang time. Courtney calls for the fair catch, but lets it bounce. This time it bounces straight up in the air, and it's going to be down at about the 20-yard line. So Idaho State will start off at their own 20-yard line. 9:51 to go here in the first half, and our score: the Bengals 7 and the Bobcats of Montana State nothing.
Nearly 3 million fans attended NCAA Division I AA football games in 1981. The Division I AA membership has grown to 92 teams for the 1982 season. The division championship will be determined December 18th at Wichita Falls, Texas.
Well, the crowd loves it. The Montana State partisans here. Their Bobcats are down 7-0 to Idaho State. Here in the second period, 9:51 to go in the first half. Wayne DeZubak, along with Bob Lee. There's a story on Paul Peterson. He has been accurate, 11 of 20. Been intercepted once, though. First down for the Bengals. Out to Holiday, and Holiday can't find it. Paul Dilley, number 23, was right there on the coverage.
And again, a lot of pressure on Peterson.
Watch the pressure on Peterson.
Does a nice job of delivering this ball right before he gets hit. Good quick delivery. And Holiday should catch this ball even though it was a little behind him.
Peterson did a good job to get it out to Holiday, and you're right, Holiday probably should have caught the football, but what a hit Peterson took, huh?
Really. He shows me a lot of moxie. I think he's going to be a fine quarterback. He already is a fine quarterback. He's going to be a better one.
He, of course, under a lot of pressure because Mike Maturk, the All-American from Idaho State last year, was just about everything for the Bengals.
Here comes the safety blitz again with Joey Roberts, 47.
Bengals pick it up. Now they can't get it. That's Bruno in there, number 74, to make the stop. The Bengals picked up the blitz, but in doing so, they let Bruno go, and he's not a good man to have loose in the backfield.
I think a lot of folks think when a team safety blitzes, it's the safety that has to make the tackle. That's not necessarily so. What happened is the Bengal offensive line tried to make an adjustment. They did pick up Roberts, and as a result, Bruno came through almost free and came up with a very big sack, and now we're looking at a 3rd and about 19.
Ball's at the 12-yard line. Officially, they're going to call it 3rd down 18.
And again, the banded defense is in.
Straight drop back by Peterson. Wide open is Holiday, and he can't find the handle again. But as Bob said, it was a good throw, and it would have been more than enough for the first down.
Peterson's doing an excellent job of reading here. The Bobcats are in double covering the wide people. He hits the wingback Holiday coming up the slot between the coverage, and I don't think Holiday was really ready for the ball to be delivered quite as fast as it was. He's a fine football player, though.
And Peterson had to put it right on the money. You saw there were 2 defenders around Holiday that time, but Peterson put it right in the seam, right where he had to.
And Brian Compton's in single safety, and looks like they're going to rush the kicker and try to get a block here. Let's see.
They've got 10 men. Now they're dropping King off.
They're coming with 9, though.
End over end kick. Compton going for it. He's going to let it bounce.
Better make a play.
It up.
Good
nice
play.
Move. And he's
really
back
good
into
play by
territory.
Brian.
So, Montana State will start at the Bengal 48-yard line. When we come back, the score is Idaho State 7 and Montana State nothing. Idaho State with a 7-0 lead over the Bobcats. But the Bobcats have the football in Bengal territory at the 48. First down 10. Godfrey, he hands off to Junior Falk. Falk with Timberman leading the way in the blocking. Gets outside, picks up of about 5 yards. Olivia comes in to make the tackle.
And really a nice block by an ex-quarterback, Barry Solo.
Here's the look at
Olivier on the ISO. Plays off the blocker real well, strings out the action. Watch him break through. Makes the play from behind on Fultz. Excellent play.
Pick up a 5. Second down 5 for the Bobcats.
Trips formation to the wide side of the field.
They hand it off to Timberman.
Good job of running.
Breaks all kinds of tackles.
Excellent balance.
3 Bengals missed him. And Cy Timberman gets a first down.
And really, we expected to hear the name Lem Nalai a lot more than we have today.
Watch how many white jerseys miss him. There's one.
Carl Qualls misses him. Nalai doesn't quite get there. Good running.
And there's 3. Finally took a 4th man to come in there and knock him down. So Cy Timberman showing some tough running at the fullback position. First down. Ball at the 36-yard line. Junior Falk. Falk inside the 30, down to the 27-yard line.
A great hit by Steve Scott in the support position. Now he looks like he's hurt.
Falk got up a little slowly.
I think they both did. They banged their legs together pretty
well. Scott, you'll see the hit at the end of this play. Scott really levels him, and both kind of get up slowly. But look at the big hole, too.
And it appears that Brent Cutter, the fine free safety, is limping. Also, he is. Fulp is off the sidelines. Scott got banged up on that play, and Cutter's limping.
A hard-hitting contest in Bozeman, Montana. 7:04 to go. First half. 7-0 Idaho State. Timberman, good move to cut back, and he gets inside the 20 to the 19. Olivia made the stop again.
Now, with the linebackers as active as they are on both teams, both defensive coordinators are extremely worried about the cutback play. And this is really the first time we've seen it. Timberman does an excellent job. He appears to be the hot back at the time right now. Olivier makes a nice play coming off Big Nell's block. Otherwise, it's quite a game.
First down 10, just inside the 20-yard line for the Bobcats. Their biggest threat of the game. They trail 7-0.
Barry Sullivan's back in at wide receiver, the former star quarterback.
Tony Bodie is in there. Bodie, big hole. That hole may have been to the outside, though. He had two blockers to the outside blocking Olivia, and he decided to cut up in.
Yeah, it appears that he made a poor decision on his cut, but that's easy to say from up here.
You betcha. It's always easy to second-guess it. But Bodie, a fine running back for Montana State, been bothered by a hip pointer, did not practice all last week, and so you got to give him credit for being in this game because hip pointers are really painful. He was the leading rusher a year ago with over 800 yards rushing for Montana State. That was third best in the conference. Godfrey on a second down 8 dumps it off to Joe Bignell, and Bignell is down close to a first down. He'll be about 2 yards shy.
Here's a shot at what the defensive backfield of the Bengals sees as Godfrey comes out, runs a little play action fake off a rollout. This is the type of thing they've got to do. They've got to get him outside, let him move around a little bit, dump the ball off, gain some confidence. That's just his second completion of the day, but it's a big one now. It's 3rd and 2 at the 13-yard line.
Joe Bignell, he was injured during the week. They weren't sure if he was going to play, but Doug Graber said he's got to play if we're going to be in this ball game. He's too good. They hand it off to Bodie. Bodie's inside the 10, and that'll be a first down. Montana State now running the football against the Bengal defense.
And I think they're definitely in 4-down territory. Had they not made that first down, I think they would have gone for it on 4th down anyway. They're behind 7 points. They've got a nice drive going. A young ball club, not favored to win the ball game anyway, so it's a chance to get back in it.
Montana State. They were picked to finish last in the Big Sky Conference this year in the preseason. They are now 2-2 on the season, but more importantly, they've won 2 in a row, and they're 1-0 in conference play. They trail Idaho State here 7-0. Godfrey fakes it reverse side, and he throws it out of bounds. He was going for White. Courtney was on the coverage, and Courtney had fallen down, but at this time, Godfrey said, let's just throw it away because he was kind of getting wrapped up.
And I don't think that was a offensive mistake. They wanted to bring no guards, no backs, no nothing. Let Godfrey roll to the right and try to hit White in the corner of the end zone.
And we just learned that Junior Fulton was probably okay as far as that hit he got from Scott. The problem is that Fulton has a respiratory problem, and he cannot play too many plays in a row, so they have to take him out for a little bit and rest him, and that's what's happening now. So second down, goal to go from just inside the 10-yard line. The Bobcats trying to get on the scoreboard. Godfrey looking for McLeod, and he throws it out of bounds. Incomplete.
But again, Carl Qualls crashing in right away, not honoring the play action fake is what caused the pass to be incomplete. Godfrey didn't have a chance. He had to just simply get rid of that ball.
Let's second guess for a second. They've thrown twice. They moved down the field basically with the run. And all of a sudden they get inside goal to go and they start passing.
Well, Coach Wayne.
I would have maybe tried at least one run. They really were moving the football well.
Very well.
And now they're into, obviously, a passing situation.
You would think so in this situation.
So, 4:41 to go. First half. Montana State, 3rd and goal.
Slot to the wide side. Sprint out to that side.
Godfrey over the middle.
Nice job.
Touchdown. Tom White.
Real nice play by little Tommy, all 148 pounds. Good job by Godfrey of being patient, waiting for somebody to break open. A lot of movement to the right corner.
Here it is again. Godfrey, what a nice play by him.
Now watch the way he gets very patient here. Would have been easy to throw the ball away, run out of bounds, scramble. Instead, he finds the open man, and Tom White makes the catch.
And as they say, he hit Tom White the only place he could. White protecting the ball very well, and a good all-around play for the Bobcats. Mark Cotter in to try the extra point.
We got ourselves a ball game.
Montana State on the scoreboard. The Bobcats working the ball well here in Bozeman, Montana. The score with 4:35 to go first half. Idaho State 7, Montana State 7. You are looking at what we are looking at. The mountains surrounding Bozeman, Montana. Reminds me that in 1983, Montana State will be the NCAA College Skiing Championships here, and it looks like they're getting a good start on the ski season. They've got a lot of snow in the mountains. Montana State, Carter kicking off. Thompson dropping back to take it about 5 yards deep. He'll take it out. He gets a hole up the middle. Look out. Thompson to the 30 and out to the 32-yard line before King brings him down.
Nice play by Bobby King again.
This Thompson is exciting. He took it 5 yards deep. One person might wonder, well, am he going to take it out or not? No decision on his part. He knows what he's going to do with it.
Real good blocking at the point, too. Tom Michaels, the young man that Bill Cutter would really like to put the ball in his hands a lot more if he can on reverses, throw him little short passes, let him run with the football, and really the Bobcats have shut him down pretty well so far today.
Idaho State, 1st and 10 from their own 32-yard line. Peterson over to Baxter. Baxter hit immediately by Bruce Bull. The 190-pound senior was right there, but they pick up a quick 5 yards.
This is a simple little flare pattern by Baxter out of the backfield. He's the safety valve. You notice Peterson looked downfield first. If he had the curl, he would have thrown it. Since he didn't, he dumps the ball off. They end up with a positive play out of really a play that was a well defense.
Well, he stepped out of bounds at the 35, so it's a pickup of only 2, 2nd down and 8. And you've got to remember, Idaho State likes to set up the run with the pass. They're not looking to break every pass for a touchdown. They like to go to a high percentage pass. Over the middle, trying to go to Rapola. It's incomplete and overthrown. Jim Anderson on the coverage.
And Troy Timmer was a new defensive lineman in there, had excellent pressure on Peterson. He just couldn't wait that extra split second that he needed to.
I'll tell you what, baseball, still nobody really knows what's going on, but ABC's got it. Sunday afternoon baseball live at 3 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. And we really don't know yet which game it'll be. It depends on really what happens today. It's so close in the conferences.
Here come the Bobcats again in a safety blitz alignment. Instead, they used the linebackers and caused Peterson just to throw the ball away. Eibner with the blitz came free again. They showed the safety blitz and then pulled off that. Let the Bengals try to make the adjust to the safety blitz.
So
real good defensive calls.
And the Bobcat fans love it here in Bozeman. It's 7-7, 4:14 to go in the first half. The Bobcats staying right with the defending 1AA national champions, who ripped through a 12-1 season a year ago, beating Eastern Kentucky in the Pioneer Bowl for the title.
Defensive coordinator Dave Anderson has done a great job of play selection so far. He's really confused the Bengals.
Barry Larson, he'll be punting it off to Compton.
It's a low kick, chance for a return.
Compton takes it at the 18. And he's going to be hit and stopped at the 27, 28-yard line. Maurice Sims made the stop.
Now, Brian.
And don't forget the baseball playoffs. American League starts October 5th. And the National League, October 6th. All of it right here on ABC Live. A lot of baseball yet to come. It's been, I think, an exceptionally interesting year.
Very exciting, with Rick Mundy hitting a home run last in the Grand Slam for the Dodgers to come back and beat the Giants, and the Braves winning again in San Diego with Phil Niekro, 43 years old, hitting a home run.
And what with the football strike, everybody's watching baseball or college football. And it's all here on ABC. Timberman, maybe a yard.
Tried a little cutback action again. Basically a play up the middle where he just slides and looks for an opening anywhere he can.
There's a good shot in alley eye. He's out of Hawaii.
Was the prep powerlifting champion of Hawaii. Over 600 pounds on the press.
We're in the Big Sky country of Bozeman, Montana. And it is a nice day for football. The natural turf here starting to get better, I'm sure, as we go along with no precipitation. The footing looks to be getting better. And a good game, tied at 7. Godfrey looking over the middle. It's complete and incomplete now. Couldn't hold on. That was Barry Sullivan who couldn't hold on to it.
That's a shame. That's his first attempt at catching the ball as a receiver. He got open, nice throw, and good play action by Godfrey.
That's an interesting story, Bob, because Barry Sullivan was the starting quarterback when the season began.
And did an outstanding job. Was very close to all the career records here at Montana State. Started as a freshman, sophomore, and junior in a rollout type of offense. A little bit different than what they're doing now.
39 now. Ball at the 28-yard line. Godfrey barking out the signals. Simple straight drop back. Dumps it off. It'll be shy of the first down, though. And that'll bring up the fourth down. Joe Bignell was the man who picked it up.
But even so, that's a positive play. Godfrey seems to be finding the open receivers. He gained some confidence on that last drive, and I think it's spreading to the rest of the ball club.
Now the Bobcats and the Bengals trading off. This is a tough place for the Bengals to play. They have not won in Bozeman, Montana since 1972. They've lost 5 straight here. And up until last year, when Idaho State beat the Bobcats 31-3, Idaho State had lost, I believe it was 7 straight to Montana State.
There seems to be some confusion on the Bengals' part of what they wanted to do on that punt, whether to rush or return. And so they took the timeout, which is the first one they've used so far this afternoon. You mentioned the Bengals have had trouble playing here. This is one of the few times this year and last year that they've played on natural turf. And teams that play on artificial surfaces a lot of times seem to tailor their offense and defense and their personnel to the type of surface they play on. And sometimes they are at disadvantages when they switch turfs.
Reno H. Sales Stadium is where we are. A lot of sports coming up today on ABC. Let's take a look at it. USA against Poland, amateur boxing, team boxing, 3:45 Eastern. Later today, we're also going to have heavyweight fight between Trevor Berbick and Ronaldo Snipes. That, of course, on Wide World of Sports. And also on Wide World, it'll be Women's Masters Surfing Championships. Wide World of Sports, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central, all later today after college football. So, great day to just sit there and watch television. 2 minutes, 42 seconds left to go. First half. We are tied in Bozeman at 7-7. Idaho State and Montana State. Dirk Nelson getting ready to kick it away. He'll kick it either to Matt Courtney or Dirk Cutter.
And the rush is on. They're going to go for the block. Excellent punt.
Courtney.
Now there will be a delay of the game penalty right there. Cutter signaled for a fair catch. Courtney made the catch. Courtney really doesn't know that Cutter made that. It's Cutter's responsibility to tell him fair catch if he doesn't catch the ball himself.
So the flags went down, and it's going to cost him a couple of yards. On a delay of game penalty is what it is. Two and a half minutes left to go, first half.
We spoke at the onset of Eibner and Califat, the importance they play to the Bobcat defense.
There you see the officials for today. John Presley, Jack Troy, Art Benedini, field judge. Gene Cook, the back judge. Doug Flint is the alternate today.
Getting back to the Bobcat defense, Eibner and Califat already have 19 tackles between them, and we're not out of the first half yet. And they're averaging 32 between them, a little over 32 for the year. So they're ahead of that average right now. They're having fine ball games.
First down, 15. The Bengals start out. Ball at their 27-yard line. And again, Peterson goes to the air. Over the middle. Holiday wide open. He dropped it.
Good selection by Peterson. Trips formation to the wide side of the field, and Holiday, again, just ran into the open area.
Skip Morton was the man who broke up the play. He was right there to hit Holiday. Doug Graber on the sidelines, the first-year head coach. Came to Montana State out of Wisconsin. He's done a super job. And I just want to say that since we've been here, all the coaches have been just super to us. Dave Craigthorpe at Idaho State, Doug Graber, Montana State.
Their offensive and defensive coordinators, respectively.
Everybody has really helped us out getting ready for this ball game. Peterson. Over the middle, Dilley is there, and he breaks it up. Intended for Ken O'Neill, but Paul Dilley knocks it down.
The Bengals have to be very careful now. They came in here with supposedly the superior ball club, and now the Bobcats are fired up. They're having success. Very important for the Bengals to get something going here. They've got a 3rd and 16.
We've mentioned it, a lively crowd in Bozeman. These early games must do something to it. Where's Howard? Howard who are they looking for?
Howard wishes he was here.
What a beautiful sight, too. The stadium surrounded by the snow-capped mountains in Bozeman, Montana. Peterson over the middle, incomplete.
Another nice hit by Dilly after the drop.
Vandergrift was the man his pass was intended for, and he looks like he really took a hit.
Yeah, I think he did. He looks a little stunned right now. He's not a big player.
But again, look at the way Peterson right on the money. A little bit behind that time.
Looked like Peterson came to Vandergrift as his afterthought. He looked like he was trying to go to O'Neill, who was double covered once more.
So Perry Larson of the Bengals will have to punt it away. And again, it's Compton in single formation to receive the punt. Larson, a high kick, but not too far. Compton comes up, calls for the fair catch at the 36-yard line. And so Montana State will start at their own 36 as Graber, talking to his quarterback, Mike Gottfried, sends him in with the play from the sidelines. Doug Graber knew he had a job here. Played tough against Utah, first game of the season. Then lost a one-pointer to North Dakota, game that was played here in Bozeman. Then they've now since won 2 in a row, including, and I guess really the most important aspect for Montana State, a Big Sky game against Medina Reno, 17-10 a week ago. They beat a really good quarterback by the name of Marshall Spurbeck out of Reno, who some say may be one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the country. McLeod, the pass intended for. Nice play by Allen. Willie Allen just busted that up.
And up till today's game, Pat McLeod has been the clutch receiver for the Bobcats. They get in a jam, they try to get him the ball. They like to throw him this slant pattern if they're expecting a blitz. The ball was a little behind him, but I think it was well covered anyway. If it had been in front of him, it would have been incomplete.
Willie Allen just stripped the ball away. A nice play by him. As we mentioned, the defensive secondary and the linebacking core for the Bengals, probably their strength. So it's going to be tough for Gottfried to throw on Idaho State.
And Olivia's coming from the backside on the blitz. Nice play by Gottfried.
And Gottfried gets 8 yards out of it. Both of these quarterbacks, Peterson for Idaho State, Gottfried for Montana State, are extremely adept at getting outside and making a big play out of nothing.
Gottfried just appears on the surface to be gaining more and more confidence as the game goes on. He seems more aware of where people are. After that touchdown throw to White, you could see his confidence just goes sky high. That's a big play here. 3rd and 2 instead of 3rd and 10 or 11.
And you can see he's a smart quarterback. When he realized he was got all he could get, he got out of bounds.
I think he heard us talking about not running over those linebackers earlier.
3rd down, long 2. They hand it off to Tony Bodie. He dropped the football. And Idaho State appears to have come up with it, but we'll wait for the official signal. Bodie had enough for the first down, and they say that Montana State came up with it. So a good move by Bodie to get the first down and then to get it back.
Power run just off the tight end block. Good job of stripping the ball by Olivier once again.
I got to wonder how Bodie ever got that back. It falls right back into his arms. Still a scramble for it. Well, nothing but white jersey down the bottom of the pile, but a good effort by Bodie.
Eric Harlington ended up with the ball, not Bodie after all.
Well, who has it? The Bobcats with the football. They dump it off the side. Timberman, there's a flag on a play.
And another one.
Timberman down to the 31-yard line. And we got all kinds of laundry
from the position of the first flag, it would appear to be offensive holding.
Okay, here's the play again. Remember, we have 2 flags down. One was thrown just as Gottfried let go of the pass. You would have to assume it would be holding.
I would think it would be holding right there on number 72. They ran Tony Bodie up the sidelines, take the underneath coverage out, and then Timberman just ran a trail pattern behind, and the Bengals did not make an adjustment. Nice bit of running by Timberman once again.
Whatever. I believe both flags are against Montana State, so no matter what
they have a choice.
They have a choice. I think the other one may have been clipping.
Downfield, yes. Offensive holding and clipping.
So Montana State going to be walked back with 1 minute, 27 seconds left to go here in the first half. We got a ball game, 7-7. Idaho State and Montana State all tied up. Idaho State scoring first on a touchdown pass. Peterson to Rapola, and then Montana State coming back in the second quarter, and they also scored on a touchdown pass from Godfrey to White.
Now what they're trying to decide here is where to take the penalty from. If it's offensive holding from the line of scrimmage, it's a 10-yard penalty, and if they can get the benefit of the clipping from the line of scrimmage, it'll be a 15-yard penalty. And I think there's clipping from the point of the foul, so it's going to be offensive holding. Yeah, they turned down the clipping penalty, and they're going to take the holding penalty. Clipping would have been 15 yards from the point of the foul, which would have been back to the original line of scrimmage.
Takes a degree anymore to be an official, I guarantee you. Good shot of Graver on the sidelines. Look at the intensity on that man. He's got his Bobcats believing that they can be a contender in the Big Sky this year, no matter what the Big Sky sportscasters and writers said at Sun Valley before the season began.
Oh, nice job of moving around.
Godfrey. And that is complete to Dwayne Baker. So Baker,
the freshman who started in the place of Big Nell today.
Baker still shy of that first down. Of course, they have a long way to go.
Just a little fake to the strong side. Godfrey does a nice job under pressure, rolling back to the weak side. And Baker had just run a little 2-yard out pattern and just waiting as a safety valve in case nothing was open downfield.
Willie Allen making sure that Baker was out of bounds. It'll be 2nd down and 5.
Good
Godfrey
protection.
Got White over the middle.
Oh! Willie Allen covering, but Tom White had a shot at the ball. Good throw by Godfrey. And that hurts the Bobcats.
I'll tell you, White was open from the time he left the line of scrimmage. Nobody really ever picked him up until Willie Allen got there, but really, White probably a catchable pass. You can see he's not real happy about it.
Good call by the Bobcats. Bengals are in a semi-prevent defense here with a little over a minute to go in the half, and throwing a crossing pattern in between the zones. A real good call.
3rd down 5. Godfrey, a lot of pressure, and he is brought down. Steve Anderson, the man that finally made the stop, number 58. That time,
now you're going to watch Godfrey try to step up into the pocket. They cave in the middle of the pocket, and still some signs of youth. He couldn't get to the outside. He kind of got trapped in there. Stepped up a little too close to the line of scrimmage.
I was going to say, that time another sack is set up by the defensive secondary.
Without a doubt, with real good coverage. Bobcats will go in the punting formation here. 49 seconds to go in the half.
Dirk Nelson coming on, number 3, to do the punting.
Well, depending on where the Bengals get this ball, I think they've really got to try to put the ball in the end zone to have decent field position. Come out throwing right away.
7-7 the score. And we've got 49 seconds left to go in the first half. There you see 27, Courtney, 13 is Cutter, and number 3, Dirk Nelson. Bengals are coming, but Nelson does a good job and gets a good punt. Courtney calls for a fair catch at the 22, and that's where the Bengals will
However,
start.
we have a penalty flag at the 44-yard line, the line of scrimmage.
So we'll go back over, take a look at the men in the stripes and see what they've got to say about that one. Offside, Idaho State.
And Montana State's going to decline the penalty. They've got the ball deep enough in Bengal territory. There's not worth risking a blocked punt or a bad snap from center again on a long snap.
That's what they'd have to do. They would still be in a punting situation. Good shot of Reno H. Sales Stadium here in Bozeman, Montana. The mountains snow covered in the background. A beautiful setting, a beautiful location. And although we've got a partly cloudy day, compared to the weather yesterday, it's beautiful here. We were out at practice yesterday. It started to rain, and the wind was blowing. Peterson. Vandergrift intercepted. Vandergrift. Rodney Holland was the man who came up with the interception after Vandergrift couldn't hold on to it.
And that was a real good throw by Peterson.
Once again, a good throw by Peterson. Vandergrift had it, and when it went up in the air, Holland was there to intercept it.
Now, even though White dropped that crossing pattern, now's an excellent time to come back for the crossing pattern. You got 35 seconds to go. You got all your timeouts. Plenty of time to get in the end zone.
They dump it off to Bodie. Bodie is brought down. Not the play they really wanted. They're going to have to call a timeout. The ball's at the 25-yard line.
Godfrey's a little late getting up. He got hit. Calling timeout. Should have got that call out a little sooner. And Blackman again is limping. Offensive left guard for the Bobcats.
And so they just dump it off to Bodie here. It was kind of like a pick play.
I think what they were really trying to do is throw the curl to McLeod, and then he would lateral the ball to Bodie. Bodie got out there a little quick, and McLeod was jammed and couldn't get downfield far enough. And with the pressure on Godfrey, he had to throw sooner than expected.
We asked Doug Graber yesterday, we said, you got any trick plays that we can expect? He says, maybe. Tony Bodie, a good runner who's been fighting a hip pointer all this year.
About the only thing you do with a hip pointer is once they're able to play a little bit is let him get back in and play and hope that he doesn't get hit right on the same point, and time and Mother Nature will take care of the rest.
Dave Craigthorpe, along with his defensive coaches down there, they're talking to Lem Nallei. And on the other side, there's a strategy going on here with Godfrey. Doug Graber talking to his quarterback. 25 seconds left to go in the first half.
Godfrey has gone from 1 for 5 throwing to now he's 6 for 15. Actually, he had a couple more balls that were questionable drops. Interesting to note here also that the Bobcats have Mark Carter, who has kicked a 47-yard field goal already this year. And they're getting real close to that territory. They'd be 52 yards out right now. So they're almost within Carter's range.
Second down 5. Godfrey.
He's got an out and up to Bodie.
Incomplete. Bodie was covered well by Norm Roach.
Bobcats have had a lot of success in previous games running Tony Bodie on patterns into the flat and then up the sideline trying to outsprint. Here, we'll take another look at Bodie here at the end of the pattern. Ball's just a little overthrown. Both players misjudged the pass. Good call by the Bobcats.
Norm Roach, though, right with him. Good coverage by the ISU secondary. So the Bobcats down to third down. 3rd and 5. 15 seconds. The ball is up in the air. And it's going to be incomplete. Bob Otto was fighting to bring it in. Finally hit the ground, and they finally called it incomplete.
Just an excellent pass rush by the Bengals when they needed it most.
Good rush by Idaho State. Here's Otto, number 88. He knocks it up into the air.
And then Bill Rice makes a play for it. So 52-yard attempt here by Carter.
52-yard field goal attempt with 13 seconds left to go in the first half. It's going to be way short and a little bit off to the right. But Montana State gave it a valiant effort after the interception. Idaho State fans, there you can see some of them in the orange. Breathe a sigh of relief. 9 seconds to go in the first half. That tells the story. 7-7, Idaho State, Montana State. A lot of passing, a lot of offense. A couple of drop balls. Peterson. Idaho State not wasting any time. There's a flag down. O'Neal is open. He's inside the 40 to the 36, but let's see what the flag is about.
A 7-second play, which could have put him in field goal range.
Just like that, Idaho State
backfield
in yards, but that's got to go for naught. Idaho State penalized again. 3rd time that they've been called for some kind of a motion penalty offensively.
That was a nice job by Peterson, too. They ran a slot back formation, spread the tight end O'Neal about 3 or 4 yards away from the offensive tackle and ran 4 people down 4 separate zones, all at the same speed. Peterson simply just picks the area that looks the best to him and came up with a big play. It's just too bad they had the motion penalty.
Dave Craigthorpe, 20-7 at Idaho State. And the year before he came there, they were 0-11.
Dramatic turnaround.
This will be the last play of the first half, barring penalty.
They've spread all three wide receivers to the right. They're just going to try and deflect this ball if they can.
Intercepted by Jim Anderson, and that'll end the first half. But kind of an interesting first half. The Montana State Bobcats, Bob, did what they had to do. They basically had to stay in the ball game with Idaho State. So we'll be back with today's halftime activities after this message about an upcoming show on ABC and a word from our local stations. We've got a 7-7 tie. Well, there you see some of the countryside surrounding Bozeman, Montana, home of Montana State University, the Bobcats. And the Bobcats are tied with Idaho State here at halftime. The score is 7-7. Idaho State getting on the scoreboard first in the second period, 13:02. John Rapola taking a 21-yard touchdown pass from Paul Peterson. The extra point was good. And then in the second period, it was Montana State coming back on a pass from Mike Gottfried to Tom White, 9-yard pass. The point extra good, and it's 7-7.5. And as we said, this is what Montana State had to do, Bob. They had to stay in the ball game and believe that they could beat Idaho State.
That's they played tenacious defense. They've mixed up their coverages, mixed up their pass rushes even more than we anticipated. I think maybe more than they anticipated. They've used a lot of 5 defensive backs, safety blitz, and they've generally confused the Bengal passing game and thrown it off kilter. The Bengals still look like a fine football team. They've got to come out and make something happen in the third quarter. You can see the Bobcats gaining confidence as the ball game progresses. The Bobcats themselves will have to get a little bit more offensive firepower if they're to win the ball game.
And Idaho State trying to rebound from that loss last week to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Everybody who followed Idaho State football told us that it was a real shocker. Nobody expected Cal Poly to come even close to them.
Especially not in Pocatello.
So, it's halftime here at Bozeman, Montana. And the band now taking the field is the Missoula Centennial Spartan Band from Missoula, Montana. So let's go down to the field now for a little bit of halftime activities here in Bozeman. The Missoula Centennial Spartan Band under the direction of Mr. Fred Nelson. Raiders March. A good high school band from Missoula up the road a piece, home of the University of Montana. But here we've got Montana State and we've got the University of Idaho State. Let's take a look now at these two campuses in Pocatello and Bozeman, Montana, Idaho State and Montana State.
Although it's active in research and community service, Idaho State University is primarily a teaching institution, offering degree and certificate programs in nearly every area of the arts and sciences and a wide variety of professional and technical fields. Especially noted for its programs in business, pharmacy, and the allied health professions, ISU is among 265 of the best and most interesting four-year institutions in the country that are featured in the New York Times Selective Guide to Colleges.
in its 89th year, Montana State University is home to 11,000 students who come to study in one of the colleges or schools that make up the diverse campus. As the state's land-grant university, MSU is also seriously committed to serving people beyond the borders of the Bozeman campus. In fact, scholars here concentrate not only on the discovery of knowledge, but on the delivery of knowledge to people.
Two beautiful campuses located in the Big Sky Country, Pocatello and Bozeman. Wayne DeSuback along with Bob Lee. It's halftime here in Bozeman, Montana at Reno H. Sales Stadium. And it's 7-7, Idaho State and Montana State. Deadlock right now in a good college football game on a nice day in the Intermountain West. Again, the Missoula Centennial Spartan Band providing the halftime entertainment. Crowd here today of almost 9,000.
Which is a credit to the Bobcats with the early start time.
Most of their fans, they were telling me, basically are within a 3 or 4 hour drive radius from here. Here's West Virginia, Pittsburgh. It's at halftime. So the Mountaineers hanging tight.
Really playing well again for the 4th time in a row.
North Carolina, third quarter score. Georgia Tech must not be playing too bad.
I think they've got a good building program under Bill Curry, and they seem to be improving. Clemson over Kentucky. So the score we had earlier was an in error, and it is 14-0.
Baylor, they've had some good ball clubs of late. They're leading Houston 21-7. Halftime score there. And again, the Clemson score. The Tigers having their problems after winning the national championship last year. That big win over Nebraska in the Orange Bowl. Notre Dame over Michigan State.
Looks like Jerry Faust has the Irish going.
Really, the Irish came back, played well against Michigan in that night game. Louisiana State.
Over a fine Florida team.
Wayne Pace, he's a really super quarterback. Brown, Princeton.
In 1AA football. We might see one of those teams later on in the playoffs this year.
14-0 Brown there. Holy Cross rated high this year in the 1AA poll.
7-0.
Michigan 10, Indiana nothing. And that game now in the second quarter.
Michigan's still having some problems, though, even though they're ahead 10-0. They've lost 2 in a row and struggling just a little bit on offense.
They've been inconsistent. Last week I saw they jumped off that 21-0 lead over UCLA, and then it all kind of caved in on them. So, of course, with this early start, a lot of college games around the country today haven't really gotten underway, and we'll keep you up to date as best we can on the scores as they happen. Back the mountains in Bozeman, Montana. Let's go now to a message from the NCAA.
America's colleges, outstanding resources improving the quality of life, providing diversified career opportunities for people.
Well, we're back. We'll try to get to that NCAA message as soon as possible. Again, the Missoula Centennial Spartan Band providing the halftime entertainment here in Bozeman, Montana. Pac-Man fever coming up for you. Everybody aware of Pac-Man fever. Missoula Centennial Spartan Band under the direction of Mr. Fred Nelson. Time now for our Fireman's Fun Flashback, and today we take a look at the University of Maine and its amazing 10 overtimes in the last 2 games.
Today's Fireman's Fund Flashback is brought to you by Fireman's Fund Insurance. And Fireman's Fund Insurance is brought to you by an independent agent or broker near you.
When fall comes to the University of Maine in Orono, only the evergreens remain aloof from the resplendent foliage which soon turns the campus into a kaleidoscope of red, yellow, and orange. The season also brings with it football, a sport which began here in 1878 when a student attempted to kick a round football over this building, then called Bryce Hall. Football became a varsity sport 14 years later, and in the past 90 years, the Black Bears have won 52% of their games. The 1982 Maine team had hoped to continue the winning tradition. Indeed, the preseason prospectus called for a year of improvement as the Black Bears started their second year in Coach Ron Rogerson's wing T offense. Maine opened the season with 2 victories, but then on September 18, before a home crowd at Alumni Field, they made a reluctant entry into the record book. On that day, Maine played Rhode Island, both members of the Yankee Conference, a league which last year adopted the NCAA playoff rule for breaking ties at the end of regulation play. The rule states that each team is given the football in the opposition's 15-yard line and given 4 downs to make a first down or a touchdown. If they achieve a first down inside the 5, they get 4 more downs to score. It was under this format that Maine and Rhode Island played 6 overtimes after finding themselves tied at the end of regulation play, 21-21. The Rams of Rhode Island scored first, but Maine came back. Finally, in the 6th overtime, after Maine could only manage a field goal, Rhode Island scored to win it 58-55. The running time for the game, 3 hours and 46 minutes, the longest in collegiate history. Who would have thought that fate could be so unkind to the Black Bears 2 weeks in a row? But last week, against Boston University in Boston, they again found themselves tied at the end of regulation. In the 4th overtime sequence, Maine fumbled the football away, and Boston University kicked a field goal to win 48-45.
I believe that football was never designed to be a war. It's a contest that's supposed to last 60 minutes that pits the best of both teams against each other. And I think that it becomes gimmick football when it gets to when we get to a playoff system, and I'm not sure that it's good for the game.
There's no end in sight. The game can...
Overtime, they would stop and just call it a tie.
I call it a shootout. Like I said, a 21-21 game, how can you end up being 58-55? You're nearly tripling the score, and that's not football. It's ridiculous as far as I'm concerned.
Wayne DeZubak along with Bob Lee back here at halftime in Bozeman, Montana. There's the situation. Idaho State, Montana State scored at 7-7, tied all up. And the thing about it is that we just saw the Fireman's Fun Flashback where Maine had to play 10 overtimes in the last 2 weeks. Hey, Big Sky Conference, they've got an overtime situation too. And if this game is tied after regulation, we will see overtime here.
That'd be a first for both of us, and I'd like to be here if they're going to do it. We have that possibility. The Bobcats are playing very well on defense. Our halftime stats, as you can see, the time of possession did go to Montana State. They only had 5 minutes of possession the first quarter, so they had the ball for nearly 11 minutes the second quarter, and I think that's really what kept the Bengals off the scoreboard was the fact they didn't have the football.
Well, you can see, too, that Montana State, of course, they really came up strong. They only had 1 first down after the first period, and they came up with 5 first downs in the second period to close the gap a little bit. So, our halftime score here is 7-7, Idaho State and Montana State, and we'll be back after this. The teams are back on the field to get the third quarter underway here in Bozeman, Montana. Idaho State, Montana State deadlocked in a 7-7 tie. The Montana State Bobcats 2-2 on the year. They were down 7-0, came back in the second quarter to tie it up. And I know that head coach Doug Graber in his first year here with the Bobcats has got Montana State believing that they can play with anybody this year.
And I think Coach Graber mentioned to us yesterday that he had to have Jim Anderson, hip pointer or not, back in the lineup if he was capable of playing.
Here's the scoring summary, the way that happened. Rapallo with the real nice 21-yard reception on the crossing pattern from Peterson. Godfrey comes back with a scramble to the right side. A lot of patience, finds White in the end zone. After that, though, turnovers played a key factor. Peterson ended up throwing 3 interceptions, but the last one right before the half really doesn't count in my opinion. The big thing is, though, that Anderson is leading the defense. He picked up another interception. He had 8 last year and was all conference, and he's 1 off the school record set by Randy Heckel in 1973 through 75. So Anderson definitely the leader of the defense.
Peterson now has been intercepted 7 times this year, but we were talking to the coaches of Idaho State yesterday, and they said they really only saw him throw coming into this game maybe 2 or 3 bad passes.
Yeah, they think his control on the football has been exceptional for a young man coming into a new program, new system, and of course, as you mentioned at the onset, Wayne, that he has followed Mike Machurik everywhere he's been, and he's broken Machurik's records everywhere he's been. So Peterson was quoted as early in the year saying it was no big deal, and he hoped he could do the same thing again.
So Junior Fulp is deep. There you see him to receive the kickoff to start the second half.
The folks that weren't with us in the first half will realize that Fulp almost broke a kickoff in the second quarter.
Jeff Kaiser. Fulp has been dangerous. Coming into the game, he was averaging nearly 19 yards per kickoff return. And he brought one out to the 39-yard line in the second quarter. Nearly busted it wide open. Kaiser, he's the man that'll be doing the kicking off for the Bengals. This could be a very interesting second half of play. Tied up, 7-7, Big Sky Conference action. Kaiser really puts a foot into it, and Fulp is going to take it 5 yards deep, and he'll say we'll start at the 20-yard line.
Very wisely.
So here's the Idaho State defense as they'll try to stop Montana State. Kevin Ryan, the defensive tackle, senior. Steve Anderson, middle guard, number 58. From Moses Lake, Washington, that's Jim Nielsen, number 61. John Olivier, we've talked a lot about him today. He's had a good first half. Lem Nalley, number 35. Haven't heard much of him. Got to get a better second half from him. Bill Snaps has been all over the field. Carl Qualls, number 44, the junior out of Berkeley. He's done a good job in the first half. So the Bengals defensively, not a bad job. A little bit of a breakdown maybe in the second quarter. But here we go. Third quarter action. Godfrey, inside handoff to Fulp. He finds the hole and breaks one tackle by Norm Roach, and he's still on his feet.
Very nice job by Fulp of cutting back against the grain again. The strong pursuit of the linebackers by the Bengals works to their disadvantage.
Carl Qualls knocked him out of bounds. Here's the defensive secondary for the Bengals. Steve Scott, number 33, is one of the cornerbacks. Willie Allen, the other cornerback on the other side, number 28. Norm Roach, the strong safety from Belfair, Washington. Brent Cutter, Pocatello, just a sophomore, really doing a whale of a job for Idaho State this year. That was a first down play.
12-yard run by Fulp.
Fulp and Timberman are the backfield men. Mike Gottfried at quarterback. Inside handoff again to Fulp. Not much, a couple of yards, but again, it looked like the makings of a pretty good hole, some good blocking out by the offensive line.
Yeah, and it was the same play that Bodie ran with so much success early in the second quarter.
Montana State again, Godfrey, Fulp, Timberman, McLeod, and Compton.
Timberman is enjoying a fine ball game so far.
And here you see the offensive line. We're just talking about them. Right now, they seem to be controlling the line of scrimmage, doing a good job.
And again, it is confidence. The more success you have, the more confidence you have.
The numbers on Godfrey. Head off to Timberman. Draw play.
Nice cut again.
Snap finally there to stop him at the 40-yard line. Gain of about 5. It'll be 3rd down and 2.
I think if the Bobcats are to be successful offensively, they're going to have to find a way to get Timberman the ball more often without wearing him out. Excellent cut back there.
Nally at that time helped make the stop, but Snap made sure he was down. Olivia also in there.
Seems like we call the same 3 names a lot.
They've really been playing very well. White goes wide to the top. Compton goes wide left. Idaho State cheerleaders here trying to root the Bengals on. It's 7-7, third period. Godfrey rolls left, looking for Compton, dumps it off instead to Bignell, and the tight end has a first down.
Real nice call, and you wouldn't have seen the Bobcats do that in the first quarter. Now they're 3rd and 2, their own 40-yard line. Good play action pass to Fulp.
dumps the ball off the big nail, a very safe type pattern. That's what they've got to continue to do. Take just what the Bengals are going to do. Not try to set up, throw deep, do a lot of things you're not accustomed to doing.
Ball resting right there at the 45-yard line of Montana State. First down, 10. Holt goes over in the slot to the right side.
This is ABC Sports is how.
Timberman. Gain of a yard.
I think we've got an extra announcer on the wire.
Pickup of maybe about a yard. Make it second down and 9. Good look into the defensive huddle of the Bengals.
They've got to be a little concerned right now. The Bobcats have come out, moved the ball 26-plus yards. Second and 8, big down coming up.
And they've been able to do it mostly on the ground. Godfrey. Over the middle. In. Knocked down by Nally. I thought Nally was going to intercept that one. He just had a beat on it all the way. And he just didn't catch the football.
Bengals definitely needed a big play there from Nally. Didn't get it.
Look at it again from the sideline. Nally had a beat on it all the way. He was just watching Godfrey's eyes.
Fine job of pass protection. He simply drops the ball. Real good hustle by Maurice Sims, the strong outside linebacker. Almost got in on the deflection to make the interception.
Third down, 9. At the 46-yard line. Deep drop back this time by Godfrey. Gets some pressure from the back, and he completes it. If they call it a completion, probably not.
Tony did drop the ball. The official that is raising the wrath of the Bobcat fans was in great position to make the call.
Here it is from the ground camera, and we'll see if we can see it, because this is the side that, in fact, this is where the official called it from. The backside official waited to get another call.
You'll see the ball pop out right there, and then Tony makes a nice play and comes up with the ball, traps the ball into the ground.
So it's incomplete, brings up fourth down and 9 from the 46-yard line. Dirk Nelson again will be kicking it away to either Cutter or Courtney. Another fine
knuckleball.
Courtney calls for a fair catch and drops it. There's a scramble.
I think Cutter came up with the ball, though. Excellent hustle on his part. Yes, he did.
And you talk about those knuckleballs. You mentioned it. Those are hard to catch.
Probably the hardest ball there is to catch.
So, timeout. 12 minutes and 24 seconds left to go here in the third quarter. Our score is still tied at 7-7. Wayne Zubak along with Bob Lee. Welcome back to Bozeman, Montana, where the game is tied. Idaho State and Montana State 7-7. Idaho State with a first and 10 just outside their own 21-yard line. Peterson dumps it off to O'Neal, the big tight end. He gets to the 31-yard line. It'll be close to a first down. They may have to take a measurement. Let's take a look at the Montana defensive line. Cardos, he got that old mohawk just for us, I guess. Out of North Bend, Colorado. David Thompson, Aurora, Colorado, middle guard, good man. Phil Bruno, we talked a lot about him.
Exceptional ball game.
Exceptional ball game. Bruce Bull, number 85, the linebacker. Mark Eibner, what a linebacker he is. Jim Califat, his cohort there, the two of them put together, they really make up about 4 guys. Mark Fellows, he's the other linebacker. A good defensive squad. It's going to be just shy of a first down. As you can see, just an inch short.
But that last gain might have been a costly one for the Bengals, because Kenny O'Neal is over on the sidelines again. We can't tell if it's the same leg that he had the Achilles problem in that we mentioned early in the onslaught of the ball game. But he is having some leg problems. He was limping as he released from the line of scrimmage before he was hit. He's now stretching out his right leg, which is where the Achilles is, but he was limping on the other leg at the end of the play. Looks like he is in a little pain. If they don't have his deep threat, that's really going to limit their passing attack.
There you see the story on him. 5 receptions for 57 yards. And look at the average on that.
And really, one of those was for a 4 or 5 yard loss early. So he's got 4 catches for 60-plus yards. And a big one called back before the half for 30 yards. So it will hurt if he can't play.
Idaho State now faced with a second down and short, maybe an inch or so. Peterson just finding a little bit of a gap, and he more than has enough for the first down. Here we see the defensive backfield now. Bob King, player of the week in the Big Sky Conference last week. Manakauna, Montana, the cornerback. Skip Morton, the other cornerback, number 35 out of California. Paul Dilley, he has made some real hits today. Jim Anderson, probably the best defensive back they have. All Big Sky Conference last year. Honorable mention All-American.
And one short of the team record for interceptions with 15 this year in his career.
First down for Idaho State. Tie ball game, 7-7, 11 minutes, 28 seconds and counting here in the third period from Bozeman, Montana. The sun is out brightly now. A good day for football. Peterson, Griswold, and he is stopped for no gain.
Real good job by Califat of blitzing in the hole, forcing him to dump the ball off in a hurry to the tight end, and really no deep threat involved whatsoever.
Paul Dilley was also there. We talked about some of his good hits just a moment ago, and he really got in there and smacked Griswold.
We talked earlier about Califat and Eibner and their activity on defense and averaging 32 tackles a game between them. They had 21 alone in the first half. Bruno had 8 from the defensive tackles position, which is an exceptional number, including 2 sacks. So those three have really controlled the line of scrimmage.
You know, because of their aggressiveness on defense at Montana State, the coaches were worried about possible cutbacks as Peterson is sacked. Eibner.
Real good job by Bob Cardos that time. And again, a safety blitz from the bandit position by Joey Roberts.
Look at Cardos just muscled his way in there, 78.
You're going to see Bruno come in the picture late. See Joey Roberts from behind coming in off the block on the safety blitz. And really Bruno, and Cardos all in on the tackle. And they're changing up the coverages again and giving the defensive people time enough to get in there by confusing Peterson.
Bob Cardos, that Mohawk haircut must agree with him. Great game today. Over the middle, wide open, Ken O'Neill.
O'Neill's back in the game, and there's their deep threat again.
And O'Neill, who's been averaging better than 11 yards a catch in this game, picks up another big one. He's out at midfield. And as Dave Craigthorpe contemplates the play to send in next, let's take a look at the replay. Ken O'Neill was wide open over the middle.
Just found a deep curl in the zone. And it seems like if Neal's in the game, they're going to try and throw him the football. If I was the Bobcats, I'd try to double team him and make the other people beat you.
O'Neill, though, even when he comes up to the line of scrimmage there, it almost looks like he's favoring one of his legs.
He is. He was in the pregame, too.
First and 10 from midfield. They throw it out to Rapola inside the 40 to the 39. It's a first down, Idaho State.
And Rapola really didn't see too much action in the game films we saw and wasn't involved too much in discussions yet. He's come up with several big plays today.
For another Bengal first down.
First down for the Bengals at the 39. Idaho State.
And again, the Bobcats go to their banded defense with 5 defensive backs. They're going to put Joey Roberts up on the line of scrimmage.
Roberts moving around a lot. Graver likes to move around in the defensive set to kind of confuse the offense.
He's got a shot.
Wide open is Vandergrift, and he can't find it. It was over the other shoulder, and he had to turn around and look the other way.
And again, Mark Eibner with a big hit on Paul Peterson. And Peterson's getting up, limping, and he's walking kind of funny like he landed on his tailbone or his back. He doesn't look too well.
That would be a disastrous loss if he was hurt, but it looks like he's shaking it off. He wears a flak jacket as a protection for getting rib injuries. There you see the numbers on Peterson. The 3 interceptions, a little bit misleading. Vandergrift had one right in his arms, and Vandergrift then just bobbled it, and it happened to go right into a defender's hands.
And then the last play of the half.
Last one, it was just kind of a Hail Mary. Let's see if we can score. So Peterson rolls left. Looks over the middle. He's got Ken O'Neill, and O'Neill cannot find it.
Excellent throw. Good play action fake by Peterson.
Let me ask you something. O'Neill's wearing gloves. A couple of the wide receivers are wearing golf gloves. We talked about it in the pregame. O'Neill that time dropped the pass. Did the gloves have any effect on it?
I think so. I think gloves are a fad. I don't think your receivers should wear them. If the field's a little damp, the gloves get damp. You can't get them dry after they're your hands. At least you can dry your hands off. The receiver can't get the feel of the ball. I know they're in vogue right now in football, pro, college, and otherwise, but I think it's a big mistake for the receivers to wear them.
Third down, 10. Idaho State. Another good rush by Montana State over the middle. Vandergrift incomplete. And so it'll be fourth down for the Bengals, but wait a minute, we've got a flag.
And again, it's in the area where offensive holding would probably be the call.
The interesting situation here to see what Montana State does, because it is 4th down.
It is holding.
Will they move him back? It would be, if they try a field goal.
I think they will not take the penalty and make it be a 4th down situation.
Because if they gave Idaho State another play,
another chance to throw the ball deep.
Boy, Peterson is able to pick it up. And
I think that's a good call. But now it appears the Bengals going to go for it on 4th down anyway. Now they changed their minds. There was a little confusion there on the sidelines.
They were probably waiting, I think, just to see what Montana State did on the penalty and then make a decision.
Yeah.
So they bring in Larson, who's been averaging 44 yards a punt coming into the game.
And they'd like to see him average about 38 on this one.
And have it go out at the 2. Compton, single safety for Montana State.
The second-string quarterback's in the ball game. Oh.
Well, they've pulled that a couple of times this year,
but always with Peterson in that position. Now, we were informed that Bush would play that spot, the up back in the punt formation. But the big play really was not the poor throw. The poor throw was caused because Califat came straight through and really crushed Bush just as he was throwing the football. And I really don't think that Caudry was in a position to catch the ball. They're talking about it on the sidelines now, and there seems to be some confusion about it. But Bush really took a lick.
So Idaho State, they take the gamble, and it pays off for Montana State. They have the ball at their own 39-yard line, 1st down and 10.
Speaking of Califat, he was a fullback all last year, scored a couple touchdowns for the Bobcats, and in the spring they decided to take advantage of his speed and his aggressiveness and move him to linebacker. The first week of spring ball, he broke a bone in his arm and really didn't want to tell anybody about it and got a cast and finished spring ball. And they knew right there they had a hitter and a winner because he was in quite a bit of pain and never missed. It would have been easy for him to take the whole spring off. He didn't do that, and he's been a leader since the Utah game, which was his first game as a linebacker.
Talking about leaders, Mike Godfrey, number 14, was not the starting quarterback when this season began. Barry Sullivan was, but Godfrey has just improved tremendously week after week. And as a result, he's taken over the position from Barry Sullivan. And kind of a sad situation in a way because Sullivan's a 5th-year senior. This was his last year.
3-year starter. Did an excellent job for him. The coaches can't say enough good things about Barry Sullivan, how he's accepted the situation and still makes a lot of contributions on the sidelines to play calling.
And they've been using him in this game as a wide receiver. And who better to know the routes of a wide receiver than a former quarterback?
Here comes Junior
Fulp. Out of bounds. They mark it at the 46-yard line, 44-yard line. Nelly that time knocked Fulps out of bounds. Fulp will go out. Tony Bodie comes in. Good shot of Dave Cragthorpe on the sideline. What a super job he has done with the Bengals. They were 0-11. The year before he took over, 6-5, then 12-1, and a national championship. But the defending 1AA national champs are having their problems and everything they can do with Montana State. Godfrey over the middle, Bodie. 1st down.
Real nice play by Godfrey again. He took a big hit just as he released the ball. Got the ball to Bodie, who's the man they need to get the ball to. Good crossing pattern by both backs.
Godfrey now picking out his receivers very, very well.
Good job. Now get up there and get a block, somebody.
Bill Snap makes the stop on him, but it's a 1st down. It's just shy of the 45 of the Bengals.
Real good pressure by Jim Nielsen that time on Godfrey.
Eight minutes, 25 seconds and counting to play here in the 3rd period. Bodie trying to find a crack off right tackle. Gets a couple of yards inside the 45 to the 44. Jim Nielsen was the man who brought him down, number 61.
The Bobcats simply filling the fullback for the guard and trying to run a trap off tackle with Bodie carrying the ball. And again, here comes Tommy White with the play.
That's our situation. Idaho State 7, Montana State 7, 3rd quarter.
And the Bengals struggling a little bit right now. They've got to come up with a play here on defense to get that offense on track.
Idaho State has not won in Bozeman since 1972. And the Bobcats trying to tack on another year. Timberman, the fullback, up the middle. A draw play goes to about the 40-yard line. Pickup of 3.
Good call in that situation on a 2nd and a short 8. drop back situation. Godfrey had thrown on second and long the previous second down, and now he comes up with the draw. And Timmerman, as we have said earlier, is running the ball very well today, picking and choosing his holes, cutting back across the grain.
Defensive secondary change for Idaho State. Steve Scott comes out and Courtney comes in.
Now, there seems to be a little confusion in the Montana State team, but they're shifting. Now they're going to take a timeout.
They got to take a timeout here. They really had confusion there.
He got the timeout. The flag that fell meant nothing.
So with timeout, we've got 7 minutes and 1 second left to go here in the third quarter of play, and our score still Idaho State 7 and the Bobcats of Montana State 7. Back in Bozeman, the Montana State Bobcats, an important play now. They're faced with 3rd down and 4 from the Bengal 40-yard line. Godfrey rolls left, can't find anybody, and he's going to be sacked. Steve Anderson got in there and got him.
And Lim Naliai finally coming through and getting in on the play.
But boy, did Steve Anderson blow through there to get him.
Without a doubt.
By the way, an interesting thing we learned out during that last timeout was the fact that Barry Sullivan, the second-string quarterback who we've been talking about for Montana State, has a shoulder injury that he got while he was playing wide receiver earlier in this game. So if something were to happen to Godfrey, Montana State would have its problems.
Because they've really only worked 2 guys at quarterback during the week. Nice punt again by Carter. Up, fair catch by Cutter. And he's able to get back on it. Cutter came into the game as the #1 interceptor in the conference with 4 and the 4th punt return man.
So we've got timeout here in Bozeman, Montana. 6:15 to play in the third period. And we've got a tie game. Idaho State 7, Montana State 7. I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to that fight later today. That should be a good one between Burbeck and Snipes. But here we got a good football game going. Third period in Bozeman, Montana. It's tied 7-7, and the Bengals deep in their own territory. As Holiday, he finds a hole.
Nice cutback by Mike. Califat looks like he's going to get it.
Califat gets him. Califat, not only is he a good tackler and a sure tackler, but he's got speed as well. He brings Holiday down from behind.
And there's the big play that the Bengals needed to get on track. They're on their own 5-yard line after the fumbled punt return. Not looking good. Gets a fired-up Bobcat team, and all of a sudden Holiday comes up with a 50-yard run on the cutback. Now watch 72 Zarland, who has been the backup center playing guard, does a nice job of kicking out. Now watch the cutback here by Holiday against the grain. But there's that man Califat one more time. We talked about the ex-fullback switching to linebacker.
And Holiday now about 130 yards rushing today. So a good afternoon for him as the Bengals in Bobcat territory at the 45. Peterson. Tried to go to his tight end, but he couldn't get it. That was intended for Kerry Shalene,
who is really the #3 tight end.
Incomplete. 2nd down and 10. Back at the 45. Thompson comes in with a play from the sidelines. And Shalene wasn't really supposed to see much action, so the Bengals may be having problem with Ken O'Neill.
Yeah, Kenny O'Neill's back on the sidelines trying to stretch one more time to get loose.
Draw play to Cowdrey. We haven't heard much of him, and he stopped for a loss of a yard.
But he's tackled by a man we have heard a lot of today, Mark Ebner.
This program, of course, being brought to you as an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Let's pause now 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
This is
5 minutes to go here in the third period. It's 7-7.
The Bengals faced with a 3rd and 11. They've got to come up with something.
Here's Eibner right there. He and Califat 32, both in your screen right now.
Too much time.
All over the place. The Bengals whistled for delay of game.
The Bobcats have done a great job, win or lose, of confusing the Bengal offense this afternoon. And I think there's confusion, a little bit of confusion on the sidelines now, getting a play in a little late, trying to anticipate what the Bobcats are going to do. Very impressed. We had a chance to have a nice long meeting with defense coordinator Dave Anderson yesterday. And he basically laid out his game plan for us, as Wayne mentioned earlier, and he's done a great job of implementing it and staying with it.
The 5 defensive backs are in the game again now. Roberts is in a safety blitz position.
Thompson in motion, third down, 16 for the Bengals.
Dropped the double coverage.
Over the middle, wide open Shalene,
Nice
first
play
down.
by Peterson. Excellent read. Read the double coverage. Came to Shalene down the middle. The one weakness in the double coverage is about 25 yards down the field. There's an open pocket.
The Bengals seem to have the way of coming up with a big play. Look at the arm of Peterson right on
And a
the
nice
money.
catch. Very nice catch by Shalene.
Paul Dilley made the stop, so Shalene was able to make the catch in a lot of traffic, and Dilley is a hitter. Up, Shalene that time jumps but gets back. Well, the Bengals were jumping all over the place. Let's see if there's anything called.
No call.
No call at all.
Looks like the offensive left guard moved after Shalene moved.
Hey, you're right. That's why I thought that was what you could get the call. Shalene was back in time, but then the
Shalene
guard
has
moved.
the tight end. As long as he doesn't put his hand on the ground, he's allowed to move, to make adjustments. No one else on the interior line can.
Look at this. West Virginia 6-0 over Pittsburgh. They're in the third quarter now. That's getting serious, folks.
Panthers still struggling on offense.
LSU 24-5. That is an unbelievable score. No score, Alabama. That's later today. Alabama, Arkansas State. Crimson Tide, they're rolling again. Boy, the Mountaineers.
Fine football team.
Fine club. The Bengals, second down, 9. That's Holiday coming out of the backfield. Califat right there with him. Inside the 25, down to about the 22-yard line. About 2 yards shy of a first down.
But a real good job by Peterson of isolating a running back on a linebacker, making Califat do something maybe he doesn't do as well as defending against the run, which is playing the pass and making the tackle. Holiday's had his problems today in catching the ball coming out of the backfield, but he has done a great job of running. Big play here.
They're down in 4.
Need to get the first down and keep things going.
Again, we're tied at 7. Under 3 minutes to play in the third quarter. Holiday. The Bengals get close to the first down. I think they're going to be shy by about a foot.
The Bobcats did something there they haven't done today. They kept their 5th defensive back in on a third and reasonably short situation, and it did add some confusion to the blocking alignments of the Bengals. You see Joey Roberts come right in there right now and make the play. Lined up in a middle linebacker position as the 5th defensive back.
Well, here we go. The Bengals are going to go for it. It's fourth down in about, well, a little bit less than a yard, but it's a long foot for sure. So
it's a good decision. They missed the field goal last week. They could have won for them. They're going to need 7 or more to beat the Bobcats.
They hand it off. Baxter has the first down and pulls his way to the 18-yard line.
Real good call. That's got to give the Bengals a little firepower now.
So the Bengals inside the 20 now. First down. There's Baxter getting up, the big fullback for the Bengals.
Had an exceptional first half for them. He was really their key player in the first half.
2 minutes now left to go here in the third period. And it's still 7-7. And again, not as much offense as I thought we'd see as far as actual points
scoring,
on the board.
Right, but a lot of movement up and down the field, and now the Bobcats have been on the field defensively for a long time.
Rapola in motion. Peterson. Holiday drops it, and that's about the 4th or 5th pass we've seen dropped by a Bengal receiver today.
And Peterson's a little upset. He thought he took a little bit of a late hit from Mark Eibner on the blitz.
Let's see if we can pick it up. Here's the replay.
And here comes Eibner coming through, and if he did hit him very late. I think maybe Mark just wanted to let Paul know that he was there. Probably tapped him on the helmet as he went by.
Peterson, he's thrown it 41 times.
Just 18 completions, though. The Bobcats have mixed it up. They're in their banded coverage again. And Roberts is blitzing on a safety blitz from outside.
Peterson gets away from one man, but he's going to be dumped.
And again, Bob Cardos and Joey Roberts, the safety blitz.
Peterson that time did a good job of avoiding the blitz by coming up, but then Cardos got his arm around him, and then Roberts made sure that he was down. Ball's back at the 20-yard line, 3rd down and 12.
But as you mentioned earlier, Wayne, the third longer downs don't seem to bother the Bengals whatsoever.
They seem to have been able to pick them up quite easily today. Blake Stamper of the Bengals goes wide to the left side. That was Rapolo in motion, number 10. They dump it out into the flat. That's Baxter, and Baxter's going to be brought down by Mark Eibner. A good play by him to hold it to a gain of only about 2 or 3 yards.
And real good defensive. You're going to see Joey Roberts run by you at the screen here in a second again on the safety blitz, causing Peterson to dump the ball into the flat where he really didn't want to because they needed 11 yards for first down, and Mark Eibner again makes a big tackle.
He really got out there quick. So the Bengals are faced with a 4th down now. Perry Larson's going to come in and try for a field goal. He'll place it down at the 24-yard line, so a 34-yard attempt with Paul Peterson holding.
And at this juncture, a very, very big kick.
What wind there is, it's about 10 miles an hour, is with him.
Now, he made the kick, and the Bobcats are offsides.
Flag on the play, so let's hold it.
It's an old coaching philosophy. You never take the points back off the board once they're on. I think Cragthorpe will turn down the penalty.
Well, the situation was 4th and 9, so it would be 4th and 5.
Yeah, long 4,
long
maybe.
4, whatever. And so obviously they're going to take the points. Well, that confirms it. So we've got 11 seconds left to play here in the 3rd period. The Bengals on the board again. It's Idaho State 10 and the Bobcats of Montana State 7. There you see the Idaho State cheerleading squad. They've got something to cheer about. Their Bengals are finally on top, 10-7. Late in the 3rd quarter, in fact, only 11 seconds left to go. Jeff Kaiser, number 4, will kick off for Idaho State. Wayne Zubak along with Bob Lee. Welcome to Bozeman, Montana. Good Big Sky Conference showdown. And Kaiser just booms it. Both lets it go out of the end zone.
We got a little mix-up at about the 30-yard line, but calmer heads prevail.
Stiff wind coming in, going from left to right on your screen. It's about 10 miles an hour now, and Kaiser got it up in that breeze and put it out of the ballpark just about. So, Montana State will take the ball over. They will have it at their 20-yard line, 1st down and 10. Thanks to a Perry Larson 34-yard field goal, Idaho State on top, 10-7. Godfrey jumps it out to Timberman. Timberman eludes one man. That was Courtney who missed him. And finally, Bill Snap brought him down. So, we've come to the end of the 3rd quarter. The score here is 10-7, Idaho State. NCAA college football will continue after this commercial message and a word from the local stations. With Breeden Fieldhouse in the back on the campus of Montana State University, that's the score, 10-7, Idaho State. Montana State getting tough on defense. They've got the ball at their own 30-yard line. The handoff to Tony Bodie. Matt Courtney knocked him out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Pickup of 5, 2nd down and 5.
The Bobcats seem to be much more aggressive on offense this half than they were in the first half. But nice shot of Bowden.
There you see the situation in the 3rd period. Idaho State moving the football again. 15 first downs to 10 for MSU.
And their time of possession, they've taken the lead again on time of possession.
Yards passing, 215 to 82. 2nd down and 5 now. Godfrey again, dropping back to pass. Dumps it out to Timberman, the fullback. He makes one nice move. He's into the open.
A great block.
And Timberman is inside the 40. He's still going to the 32.
He's definitely been their leading player this afternoon. Brian Compton made a great block for him after he caught the ball as he cut back across the grain. Here we go.
Qualls finally made the stop on Timberman, and that brought this crowd to its feet.
Again, Godfrey looked downfield, didn't see the curl open, dumped the ball off the side. Look at the block there. Brian ends up taking 2 people out. Good running. They rally to the ball carrier. Very important.
So Montana State picking up some big yardage. They're at the 32-yard line of the Bengals. They trail by 3, and that seems to have woke them up. Timberman maybe to the 30, gain of about a yard or yard and a half. That's Doug Graber, the first-year head coach here at Montana State, who's got the Bobcats believing that they can really play with anybody in the country.
Well, they proved today they can play with the Bengals so far. Interesting shot on that run by Timberman that Steve Korn, the fine right guard, who we were told was a very, very, very fast player, pulled out and was leading the play and was down there when Timberman was tackled, 30 yards down the field.
Second down and 8 from the 30. Take the inside handoff to Bodie. Godfrey looking deep in the end zone. He's just throwing it away. Allen had the shot at it, but he let it go. He's looking for White.
And a smart play by Godfrey. Throw the ball where nobody can catch it. No interception, no turnover. Let's come back, regroup, and go for it on second down again.
Heady play by Mike Godfrey, who has really improved game after game for the Bobcats. There he's talking to Pat McLeod.
And here comes Barry Sullivan back into the game with that sore shoulder. Be interesting to see what they do with him.
Remember now, with Sullivan in the game, they've got two quarterbacks, both of whom are starters for all intents and purposes. So they have a new dimension when they have Sullivan in there at the wide receiver. He's flanked wide right. Sullivan lets it fly. It's complete. And that's Big Nell. And Snap finally has to bring him down. Anderson was there. Olivian, rather, was there. But Snap finally brought him down.
Good throw by Godfrey, but a little dangerous. They did gain about 3 yards. We're going to get a look at Mark Carter here. It appears to be about a 45-yard field goal attempt, maybe 44 yards. With the wind at his back.
Carter definitely within his range. "13 minutes to play in this ball game. It's 10-7 Idaho State. A long count. Carter's kick is blocked. And it's picked up in the air by Courtney. He could go. Barry got a shot after. I think he's going to make it. Courtney to the 20. It's touchdown, Idaho State.
What a heartbreaking play for the Bobcats, but what a great play by the Bengal defense. Talk about being in the right spot at the right time. Courtney was just out wide to the right side of the offensive line, just looking for a possible fake, and the ball was deflected to him.
What a turnaround. The Bobcats had everything going their way.
And here it is. Tough to tell who blocked in the middle of the line. Watch the hustle by Sullivan, though. He gets up from the holder's position and almost makes the play on Courtney.
Courtney, he picked it up off of his shoe tops in the air, and I am impressed with his speed because Sullivan just couldn't catch him. Matt Courtney, an exciting moment, I'm sure, for him. And this is not what Doug Graber wanted to happen. So far, we've not really seen the big play come into play as far as this game is concerned. Now, all of a sudden, here it is. It's 16-7, Idaho State.
You know, it's often been said the good teams find ways to win when their offense isn't going good or the defense isn't playing that well, and maybe they win games with their kicking teams. That's what the Bengals are doing.
So it's 16-7 here. Idaho State with the lead over Montana State. Here we are back in Bozeman, Montana, 16-7. Idaho State with the lead, and the Bengals now getting ready to try for the point after. Perry Larson with Paul Peterson holding. And a kick on his way is right through the uprights. And so Idaho State with 12:41 to go in the ball game has a 17-7 lead. And what a turnabout with that blocked field goal. And Courtney picking it up in the air and racing all the way in for the touchdown. The Bengals trying to come off of a loss last week against Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Again tomorrow on ABC, Sunday afternoon baseball live at 3 o'clock Eastern time. We're really not sure which teams it's going to be right yet, but a lot of that depends on what happens today because the races are so close. Anything can happen right now. And don't forget the playoffs, too. Everything I hear on ABC, baseball-wise, American League, they start live October 5th, 8 o'clock Eastern. And in the National League, live on October 6th, 8 o'clock Eastern. That's Junior Fulp. He's a dangerous man running back kickoffs. And I know that Doug Graber would like to see him break one right now. Fulp takes it 3 yards deep. He'll come out. And he's going to be chased out of bounds. Steve Scott, the man that chased him out. He gets out to the 19-yard line. So that's where Mike Gottfried and company will take over. 12:36 to go in the ball game.
And the Bobcats have got to make something happen now themselves. A very unfortunate turnaround on that attempted field goal, but now they've got to get down and score in a hurry to get back in the game.
Godfrey, not a bad day, 11 for 26. But now they're going to have to really pass almost every down. Out to Timberman, incomplete.
And I think you'll see the Bengal defense start to play a little more aggressively now, too. They've got a 10-point lead. Chance to get an interception if they put a little pressure on the quarterback. It's a good chance to take total control of the ball game here.
That's Timberman. Story on him. When he's caught one today, he's made it count. 21-yard average. That last one was just overthrown. Good pressure by the Bengals. It's a screen, though. Tony Bodie. And Bodie gets one good block, and he's knocked down.
And it's a first down, though, and he used his blockers real well.
Bill Snap was the man who finally made the tackle, but it is indeed a first down.
And that's a real good call from the bench. Godfrey's having a little trouble now, so they give him a chance to get a solid completion on a screen. Little margin of error.
So they're just shy of the 35-yard line now. Godfrey and company have some running room. Bodie will switch back and go into the I formation. And off to Bodie. He's going to have to try to take the outside route. Gets a nice block past
Barry
Courtney.
Sullivan with a nice block on the corner.
Barry Sullivan with a block on Courtney allows Bodie.
Looks like Bodie got shaken up slightly on that one. I don't.
Bodie awful slow getting up.
I think he might have got that hip pointer again. The way he's running.
That's just a painful injury. And unfortunately, it most likely will stay with him the rest of the season. When you're a runner, it's hard not to get that part of your body hit time and time again. There you see them talking to him on the sideline. I'm sure we haven't seen the last of him, though, in this ball game. Junior Fulp in for him at the tailback position. Second down. They need 2 yards to go. Good throw by Godfrey. Into Bengal territory at the 46.
We've got an injured player on the field also. Number 67, John Nord, the fine left tackle.
Officials timeout while they check John out. And there's Bodie on the sidelines.
And he is rubbing his hip, and it looks like it could be that same hip pointer again.
So we've got timeout on the field here in Bozeman, Montana. We've got 11 minutes and 14 seconds left to play in this game, and Idaho State has taken a 17-7 lead over the Bobcats.
Proud of its academic and athletic achievements, the Big Sky Athletic Conference enters its 20th season of NCAA championship competition. The 8-member league is in 5 states. The Big Sky Athletic Conference, a growing part of the great Intermountain West.
John Nord seems to be walking on the sidelines a little better now. He was shaken up just a moment ago, but he looks all right. Bobcats with a first down from the 46-yard line of Idaho State. And Godfrey wants to go through the air. He dumps it to McLeod at the 40. He makes a good move to the 40, and he's inside the 30 to the 26-yard line.
And really, the first time today they found Pat McLeod. We thought we'd see a lot more of him with the Bobcat passing attack. Real nice run by McLeod. Godfrey's just going to use a quick setup. Hit McLeod on a crossing pattern underneath the zone coverage. Nice move right here. Takes John Olivier out of position. Gains an extra 9 or 10 yards.
First down for the Bobcats. McLeod now on the sidelines. Talking to Graber there. The Bobcats with a threat. They're down by 10. Still plenty of time. 10:45 to go in the ball game. They hand it off to Timberman. He breaks one tackle, gets through the hole, and powers his way down to the 18. Bill Snap and Norm Roach in on the stop.
Again, here we go with Timberman. Cuts in a crack off left tackle between the tight end and the tackle. Breaks the outside, stumbles slightly there. but still goes forward for an 8-yard gain. Very important. Bobcats are still right in this ballgame. They come in with any kind of points on this drive.
Second down, long 2. They're inside the 20 now. Here. That's Junior Fulp. He waits, tries to go outside, and he's going to be tracked down.
And he loses about a yard on the play.
Very good shot at Graber on the sidelines. We've heard from the sidelines that, as we expected, that Bodie has indeed aggravated that hip pointer again.
And yet here comes Mr. Bodie back into the game, aggravation or not.
About him.
And Keith Nord did twist an ankle. It doesn't appear serious. By serious, we mean that he probably won't miss a ball game because of it.
So White goes wide to the left. Compton goes wide right.
Very big down here.
Bodie and Timberman are the backs. Godfrey at quarterback. Third down, and let's call it 3.
Good block by Bodie on the corner.
He's got the first down.
Excellent running again by Cy Timberman. I'm real impressed with him. He came in here as the number 7 pass receiver in the conference and has really outshone everybody else on the field with his ability to run the ball, in my opinion.
Timberman. He is down to the 13-yard line.
You have to like the spirit of the Bobcats coming back from that misfortunate deflected field goal attempt. Now they're right back down here with a chance to score and get right in the game.
And again, they've been doing very well on the ground. Inside the 10 to the 9. Tony Bodie.
Tackled by Bill Snap again.
Bodie, the ball carrier.
Second down, and let's call it 5.5 to 6 yards to go. They've got to get it just inside. Well, they've got to get to the 4-yard line for a first down.
And I think they're wisely pulling Timberman out. He took a couple big hits the last 3 plays, and they'll give him a break here for a second.
They split Compton wide right. Godfrey rolls right. He's for Compton.
Nice play. Touchdown. Excellent throw. This Compton did a nice job of faking a little quick post route, rolling behind the corner for the touchdown. We've got ourselves quite a ball game here.
They just isolated Compton that time, one-on-one with Courtney, and Compton beat him.
Excellent throw by Godfrey.
Doug Graber there
has to be happy with his team's performance.
Got to be.
You take away the blocked field goal attempt, and they're winning the ballgame.
Well, you can see just the intensity on that club right there. It's 17-13. Now remember, in the Big Sky Conference, they have the sudden death overtime period. Here comes the all-important extra point attempt by Carter. It's straight through. So the Bobcats are right back in it here in Bozeman, Montana. With 8 minutes and 57 seconds left to go in the ball game, our score now reads Idaho State 17, Montana State 14. Wayne Zuback along with Bob Lee in Bozeman, Montana. What a football game we have. 17-14, Idaho State. But the Bobcats are coming back. Mark Carter getting ready to tee it up. That's Michael Thompson, number 16, deep to receive the kickoff. We've got 8:57 to go in the ball game, so plenty of time for anything to happen.
Time being the important factor. The Bobcats did a great job driving 80 yards in less than 4 minutes to score. So they got the quick score they needed to get back into the ball game.
A 9-yard pass from Godfrey to Brian Compton. Good for the touchdown, and it's 17-14. And boy, with that wind, you can really get into it. The Bengals will take it out on their own 20-yard line. And here we come, Bob, I think, to a really important time for Idaho State. They need to hang on to the football for a little while. And even though they're a pass-oriented team, they have what is called a pass control offense.
They're a medium-range passing game, designed off-play action if possible. And they not only need to hold on to the ball for a while, they need to put some points on the board. I don't know that they can hold the fired-up Bobcats back if the Bobcats get the ball again soon.
Well, again, I reiterate, the Bobcats picked at the beginning of the year by many of the so-called experts in this area anyway to finish last in the Big Sky Conference. And right now, they're 1-0 in the conference, and they're within 3 points of being tied up with the Bengals late in this ball game. Peterson, nowhere to go. He's sacked. Fellows was the man who got him. And Peterson loses about a yard to the 19. Second down and 11. Mark Fellows really blew in there and got him. And I think the key is here, you talk so much about momentum in this game of football.
It's definitely shifted right now.
It's all with Montana State. The Bengals and
they've gone back to their banded defense, and Joey Roberts is in there at the safety position, and he's blitzing again.
Roberts coming in from the left side. He's picked up. Peterson has to scramble. Cordoz is after him. Cordoz is blocked out by Holiday, but Caliphate finally knocks Peterson out of bounds. All of that is a net gain of 3 yards, but it's going to be 3rd down and 8. Boy, if I had Cordoz chasing me, I'd get out of bounds, too.
Actually, a nice job by Holiday picking Cordoz off of Peterson so he wouldn't take the big hit. Real big down here now. If the Bobcats can hold, they're in great position to get the ball in good field position and drive back in here then. They've changed their defense up again. They went back to a standard defense here in 3rd and 8.
3rd down, a big play for Idaho State.
Roberts is in again and blitzing.
Peterson over the middle. Intended for Thompson.
Excellent play by Bobby King. That ball was well thrown.
Thompson is down. He's still getting up.
Thompson. I think he landed on his elbow.
King, the player of the week last week in the Big Sky Conference. Let's look at it again.
You'll be able to see the pressure from the outside by Joey Roberts, too. He just won't be denied. Bagley made a block on him, but that didn't really affect the play. Real good play by King.
So, the Bengals would have to kick it away.
They appear to have a 10-man rush on the punter.
Harry Larson. King backs off
King
now a little bit.
Now. Ooh.
High snap. Good job by Larson to get it. Good kick into the wind.
And a nice job by Brian Compton again.
So Compton calls for a fair catch, and the Bobcats will start at the 41-yard line. With 7:52 to go in the ball game, it's 17-14, Idaho State over Montana State. There it is, 17-14, Idaho State over Montana State. But the Bobcats, excellent field position out at their 41-yard line. 1st and 10, 7:52 to go in this ball game. Compton comes wide to the right. Godfrey has Bodie and Timberman in there at the backfield. Inside handoff. It goes to Bodie. And he goes for about 4 yards, close to the 45-yard line. Kevin Ryan was the man who brought him down.
You know, Wayne, it's going to be real tough. We're supposed to pick a Chevy Award for an outstanding offensive and defensive player of the ball game, and most valuable player of the game. And there's about 16 gentlemen out there right now that could qualify at this juncture. So maybe something will happen here in the last 7 minutes and help us make up our minds.
17-14, the clock running. 7:15 to go. That's Timberman. He gets a couple of more. The Bobcats now starting to grind it out. And again, a reminder that they do have the overtime periods in the Big Sky Conference, and we'll stay with it, of course, if this game should get tied up. If you were with us at halftime and caught our Fireman's Fun flashback, we saw Remain the last 2 weeks has had to play 10 overtime. What they do is, quite frankly, they take it out to the 15-yard line, let one team try to score, see what they do, and then give it to the other team at the 15 and see what they do. And they keep going until somebody scores or somebody...
Oh, nice catch by McLeod.
McLeod has the first down. Just a quick look in from Godfrey.
And that has been an offensive tendency of the Bobcats in the first 4 games of the season already on a 3rd and 5 to throw that slant.
Godfrey just takes 1-2 steps back and lets it fly.
Good throw, real good catch. The ball's behind him just real well. Makes you wonder why we didn't see more of Mr. McLeod earlier.
The ball at the 44 now. First down, the Bobcats. They've still got that offensive momentum. They give it to Bodie. He cuts back a little bit, gets inside the 40 to the 39. Gain of 4. Doug Graver on the sidelines. Look at the intensity on him. He is really walking up, pacing up and down. He's saying, hey, okay, no, let's not get nervous. Let's not do anything silly. We've got plenty of time, 5:50 and counting left in the ball game. Let's take it. Let's drive it in. Try to go for 7. Remember, too, also that there's a stiff 10 to 15 mile per hour wind coming from the backs of Montana State. So a long field goal is not out of the question with Mark Carter as Timberman takes it down close to the 35 to the 36-yard line.
Now, that wasn't a bad call, but they really didn't give the draw play a chance to develop. He shot in there a little too quick, and they could have delayed it just another count. The defense would have got to their pass defense drops and made the blocking alignment a little bit easier, but it didn't happen. So now we've got 3rd and 4, and the Bobcats have got to come up with a play themselves now.
Last time they were in this situation, they went to the quick look into McLeod. This time they've got White coming to the right
and Compton to the left.
The quick look-in has been open. Rolling to the right. He's looking for White. Dumps it underneath instead to Timberman, and he can't hold on to it. It would have been just about enough for a first down. It would have been awfully close. So now, here's decision.
Here comes McLeod. They're going to send in a play. They're going to go for it. 4:48 left. This is a good call.
Well, it's really marginal field goal territory.
The only thing about this is that if they thought that they were going to do this, it might have been advantageous to run the ball on 3rd down, so you'd be in a 4th and 1 or 2 situation instead of 4th and a long 4.
This place will explode if they get this first down. 4th down and a good 4 yards to go.
The Bengals come up and double cover both the wide people.
Godfrey looking. He's got to rush now. He's got to get underway. Oh, great play. Oh. Compton makes the reception. There's White talking to Graber. He'll come in with the next play. What a play by Godfrey. He was receiving all kinds of pressure.
A great job. You can't say enough about his development. We talked about it early before the ball game, and you've watched him develop as a quarterback as this game has gone on.
So, first down and 10 at the 25-yard line for Montana State.
Double coverage again by the Bengal defense.
Godfrey over the middle just dumps it to White, and he can't find it. Allen was right there on the coverage.
And there's really nothing wrong with that. Everybody was covered. He threw the ball away. Now they're 2nd down and 10. They didn't take a loss. That's using your head.
Clock stop. 4:15 to go in the game. 17-14.
And really plenty of time, even should the Bobcats score, for the Bengals to come back with their pass-potent offense.
Well within the field goal kicking range of Mark Carter. If indeed it comes down to that. 2nd down and 10, though, on the 25-yard line. Compton comes wide right. That's McLeod. To the left, they throw the screenplay to Bodie. A nice catch by Bodie, but he is run out of bounds immediately by Scott Berger.
And Berger just came into the ball game, and maybe they sent him in to look for the screen pass because he was right on top of Bodie. He had locked onto him.
Flag on the play.
Here's the play. Excellent rush. See, Berger is right here, locked onto Bodie from the beginning. And man coverage.
And we've also got a flag on the play, and it's going to be against Idaho State, I think.
Face mask. Automatic first down.
So, the breaks are going for Montana State now.
Now, the yardage call will depend upon whether or not the officials thought it was a flagrant foul or accidental grabbing of the face mask.
It'll be either 15 or 5, but it's still an automatic first. 4:10 to go in the ball game. Idaho State has not won in Bozeman since 1972.
What a crucial penalty right there. Would have been 3rd and 10 at the 25. And I think the call's on John Olivier from the way he's so upset about it. Which means it could have easily been away from the action. He could have grabbed the face mask of the tight end on the alignment.
Yeah, because I don't think Berger...
No, didn't look. He just pushed Bodie out of bounds. Let's see what we have here. He's going to call it flagrant.
The full 15.
Half the distance to the goal. They would penalize him 13 yards.
That's where you get your maximum thing, too. You don't get the full 15 yards,
correct,
but you get the maximum there just about.
Half the distance to the goal line.
So the ball's inside the 15 at the 13. It's first down for the Bobcats, who trail by 3 with 4:10 to go in the ball game. High formation. That's Bodie.
Good cut.
Down to the 7-yard line.
Now that play is designed to flow to the outside. Tony saw they were going to extend the defensive coverage up. Here we go. Now watch him. It's a sweep. He sees that it's jammed up. They're going to string it out. He cuts back inside, gains nearly 6 yards out of a play that could easily lost 1 or 2.
Now remember, Tony Bodie is playing with an aggravated hip pointer.
I don't think he feels that hip at all right now.
Very courageous. Like I say, 14 rushes, 62 yards.
Ken Nord's back in the game with a bad ankle, too. Nobody wants to miss the action.
Bodie, he's hit.
Oh.
And he was hit by Kevin Ryan, and I don't know how Bodie held on to the football. Ryan was in there almost before the snap.
Before Bodie got the ball.
Goodness gracious. Where'd he come from? Look at this.
They tried, the offensive tackle tried to pull to the outside. Nobody filled the hole, and as a result, Ryan wasn't really blocked by anybody.
There's a couple of intense coaches.
That's Dave Arnold, their fine offensive line coach. Spent so much time with us yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. In the corner, Bodie incomplete. Covered there by Snap.
And I would think at this point they've got to kick the field goal.
So we're talking 4th down.
4th and 7 at about the 10.5-yard line.
2:46 to go in the ball game.
And this is where you get in the huddle and you say, fellas, we got to block. We can't have that deflection again. Real good coverage by Bill Snap right there.
Godfrey put it on the money. It was a very good throw in that.
If Bodie doesn't get it,
nobody does. So that was a good throw by him. Idaho State wants to call timeout. Make Mark Carter think about it for a second.
Maybe they're not so sure that there's not a fake involved here.
Well, they're going to talk it over on the sidelines and see what happens. And Graber, he's talking to Carter, his field goal kicker. Doug Graber, what a job he's done in coming in here. The Bobcats were 1-6 in the Big Sky Conference last year. They lost to Idaho State 31-3. Here we are with 2 minutes and 46 seconds left to go in this ball game, and it's 17-14 the Bengals. What a difference a year makes. What a difference in attitude the Bobcats have this year.
You can see their spirit. They came out ready to play. I think Coach Graber feels very good about the spot he's in right now to come down to the final 2 minutes with a trailing just by 3. Right after the end of today's game, you'll see the Prudential College scoreboard.
Of course, we'll have all the scores from around the country on that one. Interesting game going on. West Virginia, last we saw, was leading the Pitt Panthers 13-0, something like that. Be interesting to see how that game goes. But here, crucial field goal attempt. The Bengals jumping all around. It'll come from the 16-yard line, 26-yard attempt. Long snap count. Carter's kick is up, and
it looks good.
It's good.
It is. We got a tie game.
26-yard field goal from Mark Carter, and things are a-poppin' in Bozeman, Montana. So with 2 minutes and 43 seconds left to go in this ball game, it's all tied up. Idaho State 17 and the Bobcats 17. Do I need to say any more? There you see the story here in Bozeman, Montana. What a super football game between these two Big Sky opponents. That's Michael Thompson. He's deep. He'll receive the kickoff from Mark Carter. And with that stiff win, I think Carter will really put a foot into it. He does. It's going to go out of the end zone.
Check the ball. Mr. Thompson, don't let it roll out like that.
The Bengals will take over on their 20-yard line. And again, a reminder, it's 17-17. The Big Sky does have a playoff situation. And what they basically do is that they give each team a chance to score from the 15-yard line. And they go until somebody either doesn't score or somebody scores a field goal and the other guy scores the touchdown. And we could go on all night long. Let's see what the Bengals do now. 80 yards away from a score. 2:43 to go in the ball game.
And again, the Bobcats come in with 5 defensive backs. They're banded defense.
Peterson, good protection this time. Has all the time. Almost intercepted by Paul Dilley.
Great play by Dilley. And good protection, although Peterson took a big hit again just as he released the ball.
Peterson trying to go to his tight end, Ken O'Neill, who's back in the ball game.
Controlled play action, fake again. The thing about the long crossing patterns, you have to wait a tremendous amount of time. Trying to get the ball to Kenny O'Neill. We really don't know what kind of shape his legs are in right now at this juncture either. He has been limping on and off. O'Neill stays in the game, but he's limping to the line of scrimmage.
That's Rapola in motion.
And too much time.
Too much time against the Bengals. That's what it is. Mark Bellow says, I knew that. That's why I jumped off when I did. Welcome to tropical Montana. It wasn't so tropical today, but I tell you, if you were here for the whole week, today is tropical.
We thought we might have had snow on the field today.
Very concerned about it, but fair weather has smiled upon us, and a great game as well. 17-17 tied up. Second down, 15. They're going to run it as Holiday looking to get inside. He's out to about the 18 or 19-yard line.
Now, he didn't get the blocks at the corner, but that was a good call by the offense. The 5 defensive backs in the game, all 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. Really no force action at the corner. The offensive guard slipped and fell, and so did Holiday.
Now, third down, 11. Faces the Bengals.
And here comes John Rapola, who caught the first touchdown pass from Peterson early in the second quarter. In with the play.
The Bengals went up 7-0. Montana State came back to tie it. 7-7. Idaho State went up 17-7. Montana State has fought back to tie it at 17. Peterson, third and 11.
Safety blitz over the middle.
O'Neill. Incomplete.
Oh. Real close to face guarding by the linebacker.
No call.
No call, and
so it'll be fourth
that's all
down.
there is to it. And the incomplete pass stops the clock. It gives the Bobcats a chance to save their timeouts. Now here's the play again. He's going to try to hit O'Neill against the zone up the middle. You watch the linebacker on the trail put his hands up, and he really doesn't look for that ball. That should be a penalty. It's a tough call to make, but he has to make an attempt to look for the ball when he puts his hands in the receiver's face like that.
A 10-man rush, no doubt, for Montana State. I'm sure Graver says, okay, pull out the stops, go for it, but don't hit him.
Well, we had a bad snap last time. Oh.
It came close. It gets up into the wind. The wind's going to hold it up. Compton, fair catch called for, and
nice
he takes care of it at the 49 of Idaho State.
He's really done a fine job today for the Bobcats. Catching that last touchdown pass. He made some real good catches on the punt return. Listen to this crowd go crazy now. They've got a chance right here to beat the defending national champion.
Idaho State, 12-1 a year ago. They beat Montana State 31-3, and don't you think the Bobcats don't remember that? It's 17-17 here.
Excellent field position. They really only have to move the ball 25 yards to be in field goal range.
The Bobcats try to win their second consecutive Big Sky game, their third game in a row after losing their first two, one of those by 1 point. The fake to Bodie.
Good job by Godfrey.
Godfrey just threw it away. He didn't have anybody open. And a smart move. 1 minute, 37 seconds left to play in this ball game. The clock stopped.
And the Bobcats still have all their timeouts remaining. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him throw a ball over the middle. Let somebody run with, then take the timeout.
The numbers on Godfrey, 18-38, 192, and a couple of touchdowns. One to White, one to Compton. Second down, 10. To Timmerman. He catches it, but he's lucky to get back to the original line of scrimmage.
Really, they didn't give that play too much time to develop. They were trying to run a crossing action with Bodie and Compton on their left side. And it didn't materialize, so he just dumped the ball out to Timberman.
No game.
So, third down.
Actually, this is a good decision by the Bobcats here. They've let the clock run. If they don't make it on third down, they don't really leave the Bengals too much time left. If they make it, they've got plenty of time still with 1:03 left.
Third down play. The throw is Compton. He can't hold on to it.
And really, that would have been well short of the first down anyway.
Allen and Snap are on the coverage. So the clock stops.
55 seconds left. The Bengals have used one of their timeouts already when they were confused earlier. So Carter will punt the ball away.
This is Dirk Nielsen. He'll be
Dirk Nielsen
punting, and he's got the wind to his back, so he might be able to get off a dandy. He's got Courtney and Cutter waiting for the kick.
Timeout again by the Bengals. Now they've wasted another timeout when they shouldn't have. Let's see what the story is here.
And the coaching staff is
they
not
have 12
happy
men
at all.
on the field, that's why.
Very upset.
Number 60, Dave Clark, outside linebacker from Wesleyan, Oregon, was on the field and shouldn't have been.
So with timeout on the field, an exciting 55 seconds left to play here. Our score is tied 17-17. Nelson just punted the football, and he put it down on the 4-yard line. So Idaho State is really backed up against the wall. All they can hope to do now with 46 seconds left to go is not make any kind of a mistake.
And really, the Bobcats, with all their timeouts left, do have a chance to stop the clock enough that they can get the ball back here.
While we have a moment before this game gets really wild and we get into that overtime and the whole situation, want to thank Mike Lahr, our spotter, Mike Carl, for keeping the statistics today. Also, an awful lot of thanks to Tom Perrick, the Montana State Athletic Director, to Bruce Parker from Montana State. He's the SID there. They have really helped us out. Idaho State's Babe Cash, their Athletic Director, Glenn Alford, the SID at Idaho State. Thanks to everybody for really helping us out in our stay in Bozeman.
Now, if you're the Bobcats, I would think you would take the timeout here, but let's see what they do. They're going to let it run.
They're going to let it run. So the clock going down to 30 seconds. Executive Director of ABC Sports is Bruin Arledge. Coverage of today's game was produced by Eleanor Sanger-Rieger, directed by John DeLisa. Technical Director, Barry Clemens. Associate Director, Brian McCullough. Technical Director, Scott Hunter. Unit Manager, Joe Alvarado. And assistant to the producer is Ray Schmaltz. Baxter outside, out to the 10-yard line, short of the first down. Clock running. We've got overtime, my friends. 2 seconds to go. And we are going to go into that overtime period in the Big Sky Conference. We've seen an awful lot of it in college football this year. The Fireman's Fund flashback indeed showed that Maine, the last 2 weeks, has had to play a total of 10 overtime stanzas.
The folks in Maine might not care for it that much, but it sure does make it exciting for us and for the fans, and maybe a good way to settle the college football games.
Well, what they'll do is they'll bring the captains to the center of the field again, and they will flip the coin to see who will get the football first. Then the officials will decide which end of the field they want to use as the overtime period. They will then give the team that wins the toss of the coin, if they indeed elect to have the ball at the 15-yard line. And they will have as many downs as they need to get in. They can either try a field goal, they can go for the touchdown, and they keep going that way.
Ladies and gentlemen, they will.
So, we've got a timeout here as we have a just short break here in the action. Don't go away. We've got overtime as Idaho State and Montana State are tied 17-17 here in Bozeman. Well, you're looking at a group of guys who really have to keep control here and get this game underway. We are into overtime in the Big Sky Conference. Idaho State, Montana State, 17-17. Well, we knew this was going to be a dandy of a football game, but it has turned out better than we had anticipated.
And Montana State will have the ball to start on the Idaho State 15-yard line.
And they're going to go so that they have the wind to their back as far as the field goal is concerned. The officials decided that. So they put the ball down at the 15-yard line.
Put down at the 15-yard line.
Here we go in overtime. Montana State
really could become a chess match here, depending on what happens. Down and distance situations play a big part.
Bodie is in there at the tailback. Timberman is the fullback. They hand it off to Bodie. He cuts to his left. Fumble!
Now, they might have blown the ball dead.
I think
if
they
he
blew it
landed
dead.
on the ball, it was dead.
Well, the Idaho State team is not very happy about that. They feel it may have been a quick whistle.
That's really a rule that was put in several years ago when there were so many fumbles on artificial turf when players would land on the turf, the ball would squirt out. That's a pretty good rule. Real tough on the officials again, though. Big break for the Bobcats there.
It was a close call, but the Bobcats still have it. Ball's now at the 13-yard line. The pickup was good for 2. Again, we are in overtime here in Bozeman, Montana. The pass incomplete, knocked away nicely by Roach. Norm Roach just made a super defensive effort.
You see a little play action fake to Cy Timmerman. He's just going to try to hit Bodie coming out of the backfield. The ball's a little behind him. Roach comes up, deflects the pass. And now we've got 3rd and 8 at the 13-yard line.
3rd down 8 now.
Bobcats come out with a slot to the wide side of the field, to our right.
2 wide receivers to the right. They roll right. Over the middle, complete to Bodie.
Okay.
Just shy of the 5-yard line.
Now here's where the decision comes in. You've got 4th and 1 at the 6-yard line. Do you go for it and go on in and try to get the touchdown? You kick the field goal and hope that the Bengals don't score.
Just shy of the first down.
Looks like they're thinking about it a great deal, too. They're going to kick the field goal.
Here comes Carter. Here it is on the replay. He needed to get to the 5 for the first down, and he did not.
Excellent play, though.
So Carter comes in. This should be a chip shot, in as much as he's got a 15-mile-per-hour wind behind him. Carter, they set it up at the 13. The kick.
It's good.
It's good. And so Montana State now has taken a 20-17 lead over Idaho State. The Bengals will kick the ball at the 15. They need to score a touchdown. Of course, they can send it into a second overtime period with the field goal. So the Bengals will have the ball at the 15. We're into overtime. Montana State has a lead of 20-17. There you see it. We're into overtime. Wayne DeZubak along with Bob Lee in Bozeman, Montana. This stadium is hopping right now. The Bobcats with a 20-17 lead over the Bengals. And the Bengals need to score at least a field goal to stay alive in this game. First down from the 15. He's
going to run the ball.
He's got some room, and he's down inside the 15 to the 14, so he only got a yard out of it. A good play by Skip Morton.
Now, it looked like this was run all the way, and yet he had 2 receivers downfield. Now watch it. He tucks that ball away immediately. It really has no place to go. They string the play out. Good play by Morton.
Comes up there and just tackles him right around the ankles. Looked like it was going to go for a little further than it did, but it took so long developing. We are in overtime at the Big Sky Conference. Montana State, in their first overtime drive, had a field goal. They lead 20-17 now. Oh! Baxter was knocked down, or did he fall? And there's not going to be any call. Now Peterson runs down there and talks to Baxter, because Baxter wanted to get up and talk to the referee.
Now what this was, both backs crossed behind the line of scrimmage. What they're trying to do is one man picks the other one, coverage linebacker. And the official was right there. And actually, Holiday was far enough away that it wouldn't have been judged to pick on him. I feel that was pass interference, whether it was intentional or not.
Third down. Boy, the overtime's really made for excitement in college football, I guarantee you. They head off to Baxter, up
they're
the
just
middle.
Going to place the ball in front of the uprights.
So they are going to settle to try for a field goal. And all the pressure is going to be on Perry Larson. Perry Larson, number 8 of the Bengals, comes in. They're right in the middle of the field. And again, if he makes this field goal, we'll be tied at 20, and Montana State will get the football back. If he misses it, it's all over. Montana State has won. They place it at the 17, 27-yard attempt. Larson, the kick is good. We are tied at 20-20, and we are going to go to a second overtime period. Maine, you have nothing over us. We are closing in. So now, Montana State, of course, will get the football at the 15, and while we do, here's Graber on the sidelines. Last year, Idaho State was involved in a triple overtime game with Weber State. They finally won it 33-30. Doug Graber talking to the officials.
And they appear that they're going to flip the coin again.
Well, what happens is that the team that won the toss of the coin, at least as I understand the rules, unless they are going to flip it again, as I understood it, and maybe I was wrong, I thought that basically the team that won the toss, then the next time they come to, they get together, and the team that lost the toss of the coin has their option of whether or not to go on offense. So Idaho State, for instance, could go back on offense again.
They're going back right now. You are correct.
There you see our most valuable players, the Chevrolet. Idaho State goes to John Olivia, and to Montana State, Mike Godfrey, a $1,000 scholarship to their name to their schools. To the General Scholarship Fund, and congratulations to both of them. I'll tell you, one of them is going to come off this field a loser because of the overtime, and that's the shame of the overtime, but also it's the excitement of the overtime.
I think we saw a lot of winners on the field today, though. Both these teams have played their hearts out. It's been a great game to do.
So Idaho State choosing to go right back on offense, put the pressure on Montana State. It's a chess game. Over the middle. Almost.
Bobby King almost comes up with a big interception.
The player of the week in the Big Sky last week almost comes up with one.
And he hasn't played a bad game today either.
He hasn't.
Again, they tried to isolate Ken O'Neill, and O'Neill's a marked man. Has been lately. Anyway, he's come up with some big catches, but they're going to make the other people beat them.
Second down. What a game. Second overtime here in Bozeman. It's 20-20. It was 17-17 after regulation.
Joey Roberts is safety blitzing again, and it's a reverse.
Fake reverse.
Fake reverse.
Peterson still has it. He's looking for Holiday, but he's going to run it. He's down inside the 5. First down to the 2-yard line.
Paul Peterson.
This is what he does well. This is what Doug Graber, the head coach of Montana State, was worried that Peterson would do.
Great decision by Peterson here. It sees everybody's covered, stays inbounds, gets by Eibner, and gets the first down at the 2.5-yard line.
Good look at Paul Peterson. First down and goal now in the overtime, the second overtime period.
Baxter, he's close.
He's awful close. He's near the 1-foot line. That's where they're going to mark it.
I think we'll just see Mr. Baxter one more time here. I'd be very surprised if they did anything else.
Well, I think the offensive line of Idaho State is so pumped up now that they've got 3 more plays if they want to go on a 4th down to make it from 1 foot away. And
let's get the play in here now. Not take too much time.
This is critical now. Rapola is now coming in with the play. Idaho State has been whistled for a couple of delay of game penalties in this contest. Thompson rushes off the field.
They have alignment with 2 tight ends in the ball game. Holiday and Baxter in the backfield. Quarterback sneak. Be careful sticking that ball.
Touchdown. They call it a touchdown. Boy, that was really, Paul Peterson took a chance of sticking that ball out there like that.
Now, all he has to do is cross the plane, but good chance to get it knocked away.
Well, now
watch Peterson stick that ball out. Real dangerous.
He crossed the plane, but it was knocked away moments after that, and really I wanted to wait to see what they called it, because from this angle, really, we can't see if he broke the plane or not. Very dangerous play.
As a player in a sure situation like that, you don't want to give an official a chance to make the decision when they don't have to.
Exactly. Perry Larson now, very important extra point.
It's good.
Well, the Bengals decided to go on offense in the second overtime period. They score, and the Bengals have taken a 27-20 lead over the Bobcats, who now need a touchdown to stay alive. question. I would assume that in an overtime period, they would probably go for the one extra point if they were to score. But there's that option of going for two and calling it quits after that.
Well, that's going to be Graber's decision, and that's what he gets paid to do. Thank God we don't have to make it. I would think in this situation, in an overtime, he would probably simply go for the tie on the kick and go to the next overtime.
We are in the second overtime period. Montana State, they waste no time in getting ready to go. Compton wide right.
Play action out of the eye.
Looking for
roll by Godfrey. Cuts back inside. Very good tackle by Brent Cutter.
He goes down to the 12-yard line, and Cutter, as you said, come up, made the tackle.
We haven't really seen too much of Cutter today. He has been limping around. He's played very well the first 3 weeks for the Bengals, and that's a big play for him to come up with there.
White comes in with the play from Graber. McLeod goes out. Pick up of 4 yards, so a second down and 6. 27-20, Idaho State. Second overtime. It was tied 17-17 at regulation. They fake the inside handoff to
Bodie.
They look back for Bodie. Incomplete. What a hit there by Cutter.
Cutter comes up with 2 big plays in a row here.
And Bodie
looks like
down.
He hurt his arm also, though. Cutter is leaving the field, holding his left.
Bodie was open. That would have been good for the first down. Bodie is on the ground. Here it is. Watch the hit by Cutter. Godfrey finally sees Bodie. What a hit. You don't think they want this game?
That play was designed to go to Bodie. Play action fake. Let Bodie sneak back across the middle, and Cutter read it the whole way.
So Bodie down at the 5-yard line. This program is being brought to you as an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Let's pause now for 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
Channel 4, KTVX, Salt Lake City.
(17-17) after regulation play. There's Bodie, and he has been bothered by a hip pointer all year long.
On that right leg
that's what
again.
it is.
I'm sure it's that hip. He sure played a whale of a game himself this afternoon, coming off the injured list, not practicing all week. Yeah, it definitely gave his team a spark, too, when he was in the game.
Well, I tell you, we had to name those 2 most valuable players, and that was the biggest struggle we've had all day today. I guarantee you.
I think any of those folks that woke up early to drive in to see this ball game are sorry they did it?
I guarantee you they're not. Not only is it a beautiful day here, but what a wild football game. Timberman in the backfield, along with Junior Phelps. Phelps on the delay, over the middle at the 10. He gets outside. He's got one man to beat. He scores!
Godfrey drops back. It's a crossing pattern. Drop back action similar to the play pass action they just ran a moment ago to Bodie, except from a drop back. Great block on the corner. We couldn't identify the number there. And Fultz does an excellent job.
Here's the all-important extra point now. Carter. It's good. Here we go. We're going to go to a third overtime period.
One more overtime period.
And now Montana State will have the choice as to what they want to do. So the Bobcats may come right back on offense. (27-27) after 2 overtime periods. Well, there's a lot to cheer about here today, for sure. It was 17-17 after regulation. Both teams scored a field goal in the first overtime. Both teams a touchdown in the second. So Montana State, they are going to go back on offense right away. They've got the momentum there. They want to do it. The crowd will cheer them out. They place it down at the 15-yard line, and here we go again. Godfrey. Junior Fultz in there. Tony Bodie on the sidelines with that hip pointer. Godfrey looking. Over the middle. Almost intercepted.
Great play by Lem.
Lem Nelly almost came up with the interception.
And Big Nell appears to be hurt. They wanted to get as much action out of him today as they could, and he appears to have an upper body injury, shoulder of some type, in that collision with Lehigh, right there.
So second down from the 15-yard line. Lehigh, the linebacker, very mobile young man. Again, Godfrey faking. He's looking underneath. It's complete. Very close to the 5-yard line. And that was Dwayne Baker in for Big Nell at the tight end.
And again, Godfrey doing a great job out of play action, rolling out to his left, throwing the ball, and it's close enough that they're going to give him the first down.
There you see, he needed to get to the 5, and he rolled into there. They gave him it right at the 5-yard line, and all it has to do is touch that stripe.
And I'm sure a great thrill for Baker, a freshman, seeing his first extended action for the Bobcats today.
First down, goal to go for Montana State. Third overtime. It's 27-27. Junior Fultz cuts inside down to the 2.
Just a toss to the strong side. Out of the I formation. Good blocking.
Matt Courtney brought him down finally.
Gain of 3 yards.
Second and goal.
Now the Bobcats are a little slow getting this play in, so they don't want to spend too much time in the huddle. So they're out real quick.
White goes wide left. Compton comes wide to the right.
I formation. Toss to Junior again.
He's down. He gets back to the original line of scrimmage, and that's about it. So we're faced with a third down.
It appears he lost about 2/3 of a yard.
Third down. McLeod comes in with a play from Doug Graber. We are into the third overtime. 27-27. High formation for Montana State.
Play action fake to Fultz. Godfrey's going to run it.
He's stopped by Nalley. Lem Nalley came up from his linebacker position to put the stop on Godfrey. And let's see if Mark Carter comes in. He does. It's at the 3-yard line. Carter, he'll put it down at about the 11, so a 21-yard attempt. 27-27. Idaho State, Montana State. This is the third overtime. A snap. And it's good. So a 21-yard field goal makes it 30-27. Idaho State. The pressure's on the Bengals.
Now the pressure goes to the Bengals, and Peterson jogs slowly into the huddle. They'd like to come up with a touchdown here. Finish the overtime.
They've got Thompson and Vandergrift wide to the left. And Thompson goes in motion. Blitz from the
Safety
outside.
blitz by Roberts. Toss to Baxter. He's out of bounds about the 9-yard line. Here it is, a little play action fake. Roberts comes from the outside. He's going to put the pressure on. Paul does a nice job of stepping up, finds Baxter. And here comes Mark Eibner one more time.
He's all over the football field. Gain was good for 7.
What a tremendous ball game this has been. Kids are hustling the whole way.
Baxter and Holiday to split back.
Toss.
Big quick to Holiday. Holiday trying to get outside. Cordoz
Makes the play.
Bob Cardoz, 6'4", 240 pounds.
Big
senior.
assist by Paul Dilly, just in case. And Wayne, we're back to 3rd and 8 at the 13-yard line.
Another big play for Idaho State. Of course, every one of these plays in overtime is a big play.
Let's not forget the fact that these field goals are not all really chip shots either. It's a lot of pressure on these kids coming in.
Wide to the right. Vandergrift and Thompson. Thompson goes in motion. Peterson looking to throw right.
Oh. Cardoz came right in, hit Peterson just as he was trying to drop the ball off to Holiday, caused him to throw it a little bit harder than he wanted to. There really wasn't any room for Holiday to run anyway.
Talk about pressure now. Perry Larson comes in. And you know the crowd is going to jump up and down on this one. He puts it down at the 20, a 30-yard attempt. And it's from the left hash mark. This is not an easy attempt.
Especially not for a soccer-style kicker that tends to hook the ball to the left anyway.
He missed it. Good. It's all over.
Look at those Bobcats.
Overtimes. Montana State has won it here in Bozeman, Montana. Once again, the final score, Montana State 30, Idaho State 27 in 3 overtimes. Stay tuned for the Prudential College Scoreboard to bring you up to date on all of today's games from around the nation. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. That's what friendly skies are all about. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports.